Hey everyone, I was on mute. Sorry about that. Here I'm talking and going about, and you're like, hey, what's he saying? This is our second day. Welcome. I'm Darrell Nelson, and I'm so glad that you're joining us today. Uh, when you see me ranting, if you were on here a couple of seconds ago and I was muted, what I was talking about was um, yesterday I was streaming to my Facebook page for darrellnelson.com, my personal Facebook page, our Darrell and Friends group page, as well as YouTube and LinkedIn, which is great, right? I want as many people to get this information as possible because we really do care about you. But the chat got really strange because people were chatting from different areas. Anyways, so today I am streaming from my Facebook page for darrellnelson.com. So let me see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can share it. How do I do this now? I'm going to embed the link, copy the code, and I'm going to share it now on my other pages. Oh man, this is crazy. No, that's not working. Okay, hey, bear with me for a moment. Thank you so much. How do I do this now? Here we go. Share. Ah, yes. Share. Share via. Copy the link. Okay. Hopefully this will work. Post. Yes. Okay, I think it's working, folks. Thank you for your patience. Oh my goodness. You know, this is my first time to do anything like this, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. DarrellNelson.com. Now I'm going to go back to my personal page, and I'm going to share it here as well. Post. There we go. Okay, so I am now sharing the live stream to my personal Facebook, our Darrell and Friends Facebook. It's at the darrellnelson.com Facebook page as well. And of course, we're streaming on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So, have you got your coffee ready? I do. So, in the chat, just tell me where you're coming from today. I'm out here near Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And I was super excited about yesterday. Yesterday we had some amazing speakers yesterday. They were all amazing. And today we've got an amazing lineup. So really excited about it. Before I go into all of that, I just kind of want to let you guys know, I made reference yesterday to a little girl that became my why, or one of my whys, a little girl in the Philippines. Unfortunately, she died because of waterborne disease. And so I kind of want to share with you just a little bit about what Shannon and I are doing. We're actually heading, my wife and I are heading to the Philippines on March the 8th. And we'll be there for 4 months. And show on stream. So this is the charity that we run. And we found it actually. It's called Clean Water International. And we believe in every child's right to clean water. And that stems to that experience of that little girl that had died. She had 4 pounds of worms that came out of her after they gave her some medication. And you know what, children should not be dying in 2022, and that was 10 years ago. They say on average 5 busloads of children, of kindergarten children, die every day because of waterborne disease. So yeah, we're very passionate about the fact that we believe in every child's right to clean water. And so we've got a website, and right now we've been working and helping in Typhoon Odette, or in the rest of the world we call it Typhoon Rai, disaster response, working with Samaritan's Purse, Rotary International, Impact for Nations, lots of different organizations to really get out there and help people. And right now there's several cholera outbreaks, so we're trying to engage in those areas as well. We've got some amazing partners that we work with: Rotary International, Grosh out of Toronto, Water for Asia, 100 for All, Operation Blessings, Forta Fiber, Potters for Peace. Actually, we set up a ceramic factory in the Philippines where we build ceramic filters, and we have indigenous people to help us build them. So we create jobs while we help with the Sustainable Development Goals. And so Wine to Water, Greater Good, Steel, my goodness, Tiny Buds, Baby Naturals. I have to clarify that. They're a new partner. NGCP, which is the National Power Grid of the Philippines, just partnered with us. Hailu, which is from a makeup company. Everbelina, Coca-Cola Foundation, Surge, and the list goes on. Anyway, we're very, very proud to work with all these amazing partners and helping children with clean water. So that's just a little bit about Shannon and I. And so we're excited about helping people, helping children and families. And I'm really excited about today's summit. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 amazing speakers today. The first one, we're going to talk about body image. Why bad body image will keep you stuck, with Bandice Lardner. She'll be kicking off this morning. And then we're going to have a dear friend of ours called Amy, Pastor Amy. And she's going to be talking about relationship with self. She's actually in the Philippines. And so we've been friends of hers and her husband's for, oh my goodness, probably a decade. And they help with anti-trafficking. Amazing, amazing woman. Then the third person that's going to be this morning is Sarah Ross. And it's called Destructive Patterns That Mask the Brain. Sarah's got an amazing story of how destructive patterns started in her when she was a child. We're talking 11, 12, 13 years old. And her and her sisters had a band, and they sang for Disney. And anyway, amazing testimony. She talks about destructive patterns that mask the brain. Then we have When You Change Your Mindset, You Change the Game. And this is by Kedric Barrett. Kedric lost 245 pounds. And amazing guy. And after that, we have Mindset, Culture, and Connection. A lady named Aurelis. And she lost 120 pounds. And then our last speaker of the day is Dania Douglas Hunt, who was an Olympic trainer. And she's going to be talking to us about invisible dragons. Super great topic. They're all great topics. But you know what? We've all got invisible dragons. We all do. And so she talks about how to slay those dragons, but also how to train them. That kind of caught me by surprise. Because, I'm all about slaying the dragons. But the reality is some of these dragons are with us for life. So we can't ignore them. So we might as well train them, right? Anyways. So, hey, just looking at some people in the chat here. Hey, Joellen Kruger, welcome. We're just waiting a few minutes. I got my coffee. I hope you have your coffee. Pen and paper. I got my little pad here, and I got my pen. So, there's going to be some nuggets dropped that you're going to want to write them down. Because we're here to really encourage you and inspire you. So, having said that, I kind of just want to go over something real quick. First of all, the 2022 Transformation Summit, its host, which is myself, and our speakers, are not medical professionals, nor do we give medical advice. Okay? And the contents of this summit are intended for informational, educational, and inspirational purposes only, and are not intended to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your physician for medical advice. Always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding any medical condition you have. And never disregard or delay seeking professional medical advice or treatment because you may have heard something. It might be at the summit, might be some information that you received from a speaker, or just general resources you get off Dr. Google. Hey, we've all done it, right? We got a little ailment. What do? We Google it, right? What are the symptoms? What are this? What are that? But nothing replaces the advice of a medical professional. So be vigilant with your health and involve professionals when you need them. So again, we're here just to inspire, educate, and give you a little bit of information of what we've all experienced, because isn't that the way it is, right? It's hard to learn on our own. We make mistakes. Sometimes we make mistakes we don't even know that we made a mistake. But when you've got other people in your life who've already been there, done that, and you share your little wins, and then they respond, they say, hey, you know what, this worked for me, blah, blah, blah. And we learn from others. And I love that. I love that. That's what I love about support. Hey, Shelley. Glad to see you join us this morning from Moosomin, Saskatchewan. And, oh yeah, Joe Ellen Kruger, you're from Winnebago, Illinois. So happy to see you guys online. Cheers. You'll see my wife in the chat all day long, Shannon Lambert Nelson. She'll be responding to people and encouraging people, and then throughout the day, some of our speakers are actually going to be live on the chat. Yeah, I would have loved to have had the whole thing live with every single speaker, but the reality is you know, everybody works. We've got jobs, and so it's really, really difficult to line up everybody for a live conference like this. And so, you know, I have to sit down and pre-record things, but hey, you haven't seen it before, so it's live to you. Hey, it's live. I'm live right now. You know, anything I say that's a mistake, you're going to hear it. Anyway, speaking of which, you know what? There are times where you're just going to miss a session, and all the sessions are absolutely amazing. And so you don't have to miss a session, because right now I'm leaving the sessions live on Facebook and YouTube for 24 hours, and then they're coming down. So if you had the chance to last night after the summit was completed, go back and watch a few, that's wonderful. But today, when the summit is finished today, day 2 is done, day 1 will be deleted. And the only way that you'll be able to review all of those is to get the All Access Pass. So this is the All Access Pass. It's only $39. Trust me, it's well worth it. So when you go in here, you have a welcome message, the digital care package, so all the stuff that is provided for free, and how to contact all of our speakers is all in there. And then here you see day 1, Samantha Taylor. Okay, there's her session, but she also has a bonus session. So as an all access member, you get all the bonuses as well. And we have 4 hours of bonuses. So you got April Williams. Can't as a cop-out. Her bonus, we talk about, will I be a different person when I lose my weight? You know, before I lost all my weight, I had family members worried about that I would change. That's something that goes on in your mind. Well, we talk about that. Angela, mindset shift for life-changing results. She talks about cravings in the bonus. Very, very good. Charlene Nelson, overcoming chronic pain and how to persevere and achieve your goals. Her bonus is listening to voices outside myself, or yourself in your case. Lorianne Mark, you can do hard things. The bonus, why should you have a coach? That's a great question. Most of us walk the earth and we have no coach. I tell you something, a coach will make a huge difference in your life. Today, Bandice Lardner, why bad body image will keep you stuck. Her bonus is body image and the things that we can't change. She's the first one coming up today. Amy talks about relationship with self. In our bonus, we talk about accountability. It's reframing the word accountability. Super good bonus. Sarah Ross, destructive patterns that mask the brain. She talks about children in destructive patterns, not from a parent's perspective, but from her perspective when she was like 12 and 13 years old. Amazing bonus. Kedric, when you change your mindset, you change the game. We talk about how he didn't think he could have done what he did without what he had. And you'll know a little bit more about that when we get to his session. Ariel S., mind, culture, and connection. She talks in our bonus about miscarriages and her concern about that. Very, very good. Anyways, there's so much here. It's only $39. And if you don't already have it, I will put in the all access let me see here. Show on stream. Okay, I'm going to put it right in here. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. That is the URL. It's only $39 and it's lifetime access. And not only do you get all the sessions and the bonuses, but later on after the conference, I will be ripping out all the audio so that it will be like a podcast, so that if you're in your car or whatever you're doing, you can just listen to it. And on Thursday, the 17th, from noon to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going live on Zoom with some of our speakers and myself and our All Access Pass members for a question and answer period. So you'll want to get on that as well. Again, that's only $39. Well, listen, it is 8:14 and we need to get going here. So let's get started with our first speaker of the day, and that is Bandice Lardner, and why bad body image will keep you stuck. Okay. I'll find it. It's here somewhere. There we go. Day 2. Bang. Here we go, folks. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome. Bandice Lardner here today. She resides with her family in Clearwater, Florida, and she is a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach and #1 selling best author on Amazon. Now, her mission in life is to help women ditch the diet mentality and find peace with food and their bodies so that they are better equipped to do the great things that God's called them to do. Now, I'm really excited that you're here with us today, Bandice, because your topic, why body image will keep you stuck, really interests me a lot, because honestly, I hadn't given body image much thought until we connected. And I was reminded of something that actually happened to me after I lost 200 pounds. So we invited this lady to come over, and she remembers me when I was big, okay? So she gets here, and she looks at me, and she goes, wow. Have you ever lost a lot of weight? And then right after that, she says, man, are your ears ever big? And I'm like,
I can't
really?
win.
You know, you
Yeah.
work, I know you work so hard, right, to lose weight, and then somebody picks you apart with something that you don't like about yourself. Because, yeah, my ears are a little big, you know, thank you to my mother. But you know, here's the thing. Body image when you're really, really big, obviously is an issue. I mean, I used to do a lot of fat jokes because, you know, I was hiding behind them, and I try to, you know, get out there and do them first before anybody would say anything to me. But here I am, you know, I reached my goal weight, and I still have a body image problem because not only are my ears bigger, but when you lose a lot of weight, you've got a lot of excessive skin. So it's like, you know, we're never happy where we're at, right? And so
Yeah.
my first question for you is, why is body image so important?
Oh boy. You know how I long for the days when women just wore sacks and, long dresses, and the only people they came in contact with were the few women at the market, right? Like, and even then, I suspect that we still struggled with comparing ourselves to others. But right now, we are in this
Hmm.
age of the internet and social media where things are filtered and primed and everything is so perfect. And yet, it's not, right? We're living with kind of this false
Right.
sense of what's important. And truly, the world around us would prioritize the outward appearance over everything else. In fact, they've surveyed women, and many would choose to lose a limb over gaining 10 pounds. It's just really kind of
Right.
shifted our focus, and it's keeping so many people from living the lives that God has called them to do because we're so focused on ourselves and all these things that we aren't in an external way that really, when you think about it, when you really dig deep, when you really get beneath it all, probably is
Hmm.
not that important to you, that it keeps us from really living what God calls us to. So I won't get too far ahead, but it matters because it steals your joy and it keeps your
Right.
mind on you, which is never a happy place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you know, you watch TikTok and you watch all of, you know, Instagram and all these things where everybody's so enamored by reels, right? And they want to look perfect. But yet, on the other hand, you have this movement that says, you know, we're not into body shaming, right? It's kind of confusing out there, isn't it, really? I think it is.
Absolutely. I've seen several fashion, houses like only display women who are overweight now. So now it's the opposite. Now they won't employ
Right.
any thin, and it's still focusing on the outside, right? We're still focused on the
Hmm.
outside rather than getting into really the heart of the matter and where our peace and contentment come from. And,
Right.
as you know, you can lose weight. I've been in phases in my life where I was at an ideal body weight, air quotes, if you're just listening to
Right.
the audio, and I was still miserable. And it wasn't until I fixed the inside that the outside just started to be part of me and not something that I focused on
Hmm.
all the time.
Right. Right. So tell me more about your topic. Why bad body image keeps people stuck? I mean, that's very relevant, I think, in today's world.
Absolutely. And it just blows your mind when you start to think about it, how this cycle keeps us in a rut. First of all, when
Hmm.
we're only focused on the outside, so if you are only making healthy eating choices and exercising because of the weight issue, right? This outside thing that you're trying to fix, it's really, really hard to stay consistent. Because as you know, you could have a weekend where you're out with the girls or, on a family vacation and you eat poorly and you come home and you've lost weight. Or you could have a time where you followed your diet so strictly and you gained weight. Oh, the tragedy, right? Our weight is not under our
Right.
direct control. And if we hang everything on
Right.
what the outside looks like, we're never going to be consistent enough with our exercise and nourishment to actually see the changes. So we're kind of stymieing ourselves by looking at an outcome rather than looking what we can actually control. The other
Yeah.
thing that's really
Yeah.
interesting
I
is
like
from
that.
a deeper kind of emotional standpoint. Listen, I spent many years isolated because of a couple things. One, being ashamed in my skin. And two, not
Hmm.
wanting to be out and about around all the food that I had developed fear of. And by isolating myself, I was missing out on the solution to my problems, which, let's get this, like, I wasn't connecting with people, right? That fills my spirit. That, like,
Hmm.
having those connections with other people is emotional relief. We can relieve our stress. We feel that acceptance and that unconditional love when we're around others. And I stayed home with the food, right? And I further exacerbated that. Or, pretty typical, I was a personal trainer. There's a lot of women who would not start working out until they lost weight. Well, in our body image, we're allowing that outward sign to keep us from seeking the solution. And if we start living our lives
Right.
like we're okay with where we are, we actually start to give ourselves the tools, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, and the mental nourishment that we need to have a healthy relationship with food and not be overeating and not
Hmm.
in the habits that led to the overweight in the first place. And it's backwards, but there's relief in knowing that you could actually do it. And when we see the broken system, you can go, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that it's not all me. I was just using the wrong tools and have the wrong
Right.
focus.
Right. Right. Tools is something that's very important because I think that in our mindset, the association between how we're perceived by our friends and even our relationship with food is kind of something that we shouldn't focus on, right? It should be something that starts in here,
Mhm.
in our mind, right? So what's
Mhm.
the first step somebody can do towards that? I mean, you talk about tools. There's probably a lot of different tools, so that really interests me too.
Yeah. So listen, I am a therapy veteran. Like, if I had the money back that I've spent on counselors, in treatment patient, psychologists, psychiatrists, this kind of stuff, I'd be set for life, right? So I've definitely seen a lot of tools, and we could go over some things, but I really want to get back to what made a difference for me. Because yes, you know,
Right.
I'm a believer. My Christian faith is really important to me. Whether you are or not, having those scripture based or just affirmations about who you are really important.
Right.
Buying clothes that fit really, really helps. Like, treating yourself well by that. Avoiding things like social media. Like, we talked about social media. Like, I don't have any social media. I don't get any magazines.
Right.
There's certain TV shows that I've stopped watching because it just, rocked my world. Like, I would watch it and just spend the whole time comparing myself to the lead
Right.
actress. Like, those are things that I've done to make my environment a little bit easier to navigate. But in all honesty,
Right.
I didn't find freedom until I took the step of faith and decided to start acting as if before I felt it. And it really boiled
Right.
down to that light bulb moment where I looked back at my life and saw those missed opportunities, the things that I didn't
Right.
do because I felt like I wasn't good enough, the way I spoke to myself. I have a daughter now. Oh my goodness. If I ever were to hear her speak to herself the way I spoke to myself, I don't know what I would do. I started to see those things, and I finally just said, I can't do it anymore. My life, like, I want it to be
Right.
something meaningful. I want to go out and pour into other people's lives, to be used by God, to, like, have a purpose and a plan. And it's not going to happen when I'm stuck navel gazing in
Right.
more than one way about myself.
Right.
So I said, that's it. I'm stopping it. And when the thoughts came in, I said, talk to the hand. I said, I'm not going there, not because I felt like it, not because I looked in the mirror and
Right.
suddenly it was like, oh, I'm just great. It was because I refused to be trapped by that trap any longer.
Yeah.
And let me tell
Yeah.
you, I went out and bought some, like, it sounds funny, I bought some underwear that fit. Like, that was a big
Right.
deal. I didn't want to buy underwear
Awesome.
in my size. And how about walking around all day with underwear that are too tight, are going to remind you that your body might not be exactly where you want to be.
Right.
I
Right.
I went,
Yeah.
I did things. I had events. I did speaking. I have a blog, I wasn't waiting to do these things
Mm-hmm.
until I got to where I wanted to go. And the way I
Right.
thought, the way I saw myself, it slowly started to catch up. Not quickly, slowly. The more I treated myself like
Right.
I was loved by God, that he knit me together in my mother's womb, that he picked my eye color. Like, oh, I love to paint. I'm not a very good painter, but I love it. And I love color and picking the colors and blending them. The more that I appreciated that God did that for me, not because I thought it was great, not
Yeah.
because if I had a magazine, I'd pick it out if I could pick one, but because he picked it for me, things started to change. And it was
Wow.
amazing. And so the tool is sort of this radical acceptance, I would call it. Not in a
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I accept it. All right, here we go. I'm
Right.
gonna
Right.
no, in a like, Lord, here are my hands. I accept the gift you've given me. Forgive me for
Right.
not appreciating it and help me change my heart. And that was the thing that clicked it. And that is the place I go
Mm-hmm.
when it starts to get rocky again.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it all starts with action, obviously,
Mhm.
but before that, what I'm hearing is it sounds like it starts with words. Words are powerful, right? Death and life
Mhm.
are in the power of the tongue. And seeing yourself as though you were, right? Or
Mhm.
as though you could be, as I should say. Um, it's having a mental picture of where you want to be as opposed to where you are right now, and then trying to live that way. Seeing yourself like God sees you instead of seeing yourself how you see you.
Yeah,
I
I
think that's
mean, nothing
important, right?
physically changed. Yeah, nothing
Yeah,
physically changed at all. But I
exactly.
think we can all relate to gaining 10 pounds in 5 seconds. Like, you could be feeling good and something
Yeah,
happened, then you
yeah.
look in the mirror and all of a sudden you're like, oh, picking yourself apart. It was really a
Mm-hmm.
mental shift that could only be a work of God for me because I battled it for decades and
Right,
decades. Hmm.
right. Now, in terms of mental shift, that word really resonates with me because I had so many opportunities in my life to make a decision to lose weight, of which I describe one or two of them in the first two chapters of my book, which people can download for free. Um, but I had all of these moments in life where I should have made that change, but I didn't. It wasn't until something happened where all of a sudden that was it. I'm going to do this. It was no longer, in the future. No, it was now.
Hmm.
And from what you've been telling me today, it sounds like you got to a place where all of a sudden it was like, this is it. I'm doing this. Did you also have moments in your journey where you had those epiphanies, but didn't really make that change yet? And then finally you did? What did that look like?
Okay, so I will say in my journey to food freedom, I had those moments. But in body image, I was something I really wrestled with and I really held back on because I was so
Mm-hmm.
afraid to let it go for fear that God would want me to be overweight or, I pictured myself just looking
Right.
super unattractive or just letting myself go. And that was really something that I struggled with. It wasn't until I had trouble conceiving that I started to be willing to give it to God just a little bit because of
Mm-hmm.
my exercise and dieting routines had left my body unable to conceive. And that was when I started to say, okay, this obviously isn't working for me and I have to be willing to change a little bit. And for me, that meant gaining some weight. For other people, it will mean the opposite,
Right.
right? They need to lose weight to be a little healthier.
Right.
For me, that meant being
Mm-hmm.
willing to be different than what I thought was part of my identity and part of my worth. And as I took that
Mm-hmm.
action step, it started to change. But man, I really held on to that with clenched fists for a long time. And I think that's why I
Right.
stayed stuck. Hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that same situation, right? There's a lot of things going on that they just don't know how to come to grips with. So getting
Hmm.
unstuck sometimes needs some help, right?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Like I know for myself, I needed a great support system in order to go through the journey that I decided, okay, this is it. I'm going to do this now, right?
Mhm.
And I thank God that I had that support system, but not everybody does. But support, would you say support is a very important part of that?
Yeah, I'm one of those people who just has a couple of close friends, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was very nice to be able to share that openly with those who I could
Right.
really trust, and also finding that counselor that I clicked with. And I know finding a counselor is a tedious process because you have to go through the whole intro thing and all that kind of stuff every single
Yeah.
time. But it was so worth it to me to keep pursuing it until I found someone that spoke my language. And then when she spoke, it really helped resonate with me.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to go back just for a moment here. When we talk about body image, you had mentioned that you needed to gain a little bit of weight in order to conceive, right? Now, a lot of people that are going to be watching this want to lose weight, so they're on a different journey. But really, body image, what is that? I mean, it can be different for everyone. Everybody's built differently, right? We've got different things happening in our body in terms of health problems and whatever. And do we have to hit that correct weight size that the government says we should be at? Um, so, what does body image look like for just an individual person, and how can they be happy with that? How should they be happy with that?
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. And the more that I dig into it, the more I see how widespread it is. People who have
Mm-hmm.
disabilities are dealing with their own body
Absolutely.
image acceptance
Yeah.
issues, right? Like that's something I can't even contemplate. And oh, it makes me feel embarrassed that I would struggle with something as trivial, right?
Mm-hmm.
As my body. But to me, the Lord knows that it was a battle, and it was just something that he was using to take my heart. But yes, there's all kinds of struggles that come along with that. And I think that it boils down to contentment, like
Right.
good body image, like proper body image, is a place of contentment and self care. It means you're not denying yourself what you
Right.
need to be effective in your life. It's not, see, I think for a lot of us, it could feel like icky, like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm so great or I'm so hot. And that's the world system of what body image is. It's
Mm-hmm.
self
Yeah.
promotion. And God doesn't bless
Yeah.
that. That's not what it's all
Yeah.
about. It's about treating yourself like you're
Mm-hmm.
valuable and getting yourself the sleep,
Absolutely.
the
Yes.
food, the exercise, the care that you need. And so that really is, I believe, what it boils down to.
Exactly. Absolutely. I agree with you. And I think creating unrealistic goals um, is not good for people either. I know when I went in my weight loss journey, my dietitian said, "Okay, what's your weight loss goal?" Right now, I could have said, "Oh, this is what the government goal is," but I decided in my heart, no, 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 I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick a number that I felt comfortable with, and that was 210 pounds. Now, when you're 400 pounds, I mean, going down to 210 is considerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I'm 60 years old. I'm not in my 20s anymore. So to be 185 pounds is unrealistic. Um, people would say, "Hey, are you okay? Do you have cancer?" I mean, you know, when
Yeah.
you have extreme weight loss, you get those kind of questions anyways, but it even exacerbates when you're even thinner. So honestly, at 210, and I got down to 200, so I was like so happy. Um, and hey, I've got still a little bit of a ring, I've got a lot of loose skin, but honestly, I'm really happy where I'm at. Despite what anybody else thinks, I'm happy where I'm at. And I think that's where people should be too, is start with small goals, right? Whatever that is, whatever the body image thing is. I mean, today we're talking about weight loss because the Transformation Summit is what we're coming up to here, what we're doing. And but a lot of people are coming into this for other reasons, right? So body image just isn't weight loss. What else does body image look like besides weight loss to you?
Oh boy. Well, it's about the vehicle. Like your body is your vehicle. Now, I'm not one, oh, we need to eat to live, not live to eat. Like, I think food is great and it should taste good and it's an important part of our lives. And I think exercising and movement is wonderful, but it's not the thing, right? We can focus on that, can become the idol, the central thing that we're focused on, where really we just want to take good care of ourselves so that you can go out and live the dreams that you have. I mean, for years, I didn't even know what I like to do. You asked me what I like to do, I would have been like, oh, exercise and read diet books. Like, I didn't know anything else. As I started to align those things so that, yes, I'm taking care of myself, but no, it's not such an important thing that it's all I think about, or it's not so important that I never think about it. Once I found that spot, that middle line where I was able to do that and also live the rest of my life, then I see my body for what it is. In fact, we're homeschooling my daughter and she's in first grade. Listen, I love children's books, like, because they speak on my level. Like, you get a kid's book on like digestion or muscles or the way your eyes work. Oh, it just fires you up with gratitude for the way that God designed our bodies. And so we've just been having so much fun just thinking about it as we walk, and all the little muscles and bones in our feet. They're so intricate. To be able to walk is such a blessing. And so I think body image is seeing that intricacy and that creation and marveling at it and being grateful for what you do have. And that will change the way that you treat yourself as well, the way you eat and exercise. It's really interesting how this dynamic works.
Oh, that's awesome. Very, very good, Bandice. We've only got a few minutes left here. So what would be the last thing that you would like to leave people with?
Yeah, I would say it's not all or nothing. It's not like I either have bad body image or I have good body image. And if I can't get to where she's saying I need to be, then I'm not even going to bother, right? Dip your toes in. Say, you know what, this week, when I say something unkind to myself, I'm going to say, is that really true? Or I'm going to put a scripture or some kind of affirmation on the mirror right where my belly is, because that's the thing I'm always being negative about. And it's just those little purposeful steps, and take back your freedom and your joy one tiny little step at a time. And I promise you, if you can stay consistent with it, even when it feels like it's not doing anything, it will do something.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much, Bandice, for your time. And before we go here, I understand you've got a free resource that's available to anyone that wants it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my website is Grace Filled Plate, and just my favorite thing to offer new people to my list is my Faith is Greater Than Food email. It's like a mini course. It's so good. There's so many solid action steps that you can take moving forward that will help you find grace in your eating, so that you're actually living a higher standard in your food without the burden of trying to meet a diet. It's awesome. So it's right there on the top of my website on every page.
Perfect. And we will drop it into the chat area as well, because it's a fairly long URL. So I encourage everyone to go there and sign up for Faith Food Email Course. Okay, you won't regret it. Anyways, thanks, Bandice, for spending some time with us, and I know we'll stay connected in the future. Thank you.
All right, have a good one. Bye.
Hey, everyone. That was really good. Oh, now I can see you. That was really good. Bandice has a bonus session called Body Image and the Things We Can't Change, like my big ears. Anyways, so if you are an All Access Pass member, you'll have access to that. Anyways, great start to today. I know that I still have a body image problem, even though I'm a lot thinner than I was. And who doesn't, right? It seems like no matter where you are, you find people that aren't happy with themselves. And anyway, let's get happy with ourselves, right? And let's not have unrealistic expectations. thinking, well, I need to be like that person, or you're not built like that person. We're all different. And, I think we should celebrate ourselves with how happy we are when we are what we want to be. Does that make sense? Sort of. Enjoy the journey, right? Anyway, so our next speaker is Amy Muranko-Gahan, and she's going to be talking to us about relationship with self. Now, she is currently in the Philippines, of which my wife and I will be heading there on March the 8th, so we're excited to see Amy again when we get back there. And she has some great insight on your relationship with self. And because we had talked about it a couple of years ago, about, our thoughts of how we thought we were in the past, who we think we are now, and maybe who we should be in the future. Anyways, say no more. I am going to take it away with Amy's session called Relationship with Self. Hey everyone, I am super excited that Amy Muranko-Gahan is joining us today. Now, Amy is an executive coach, international speaker, nonprofit leader, and founding director of Global Impact. Amy has received multiple commendations for her work in protecting children from human trafficking. Now, my wife and I have known Amy for more than a decade, and having deployed in multiple disaster relief operations with our charity, Clean Water International, we understand the reality of human trafficking. And so we are super honored that Amy and her passion to work with all these agencies to help battle anti-trafficking. You're amazing, Amy. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Anyway, I asked Amy to speak at the summit because we've had many times to talk, and she has some special insight into relationship with self and getting into the best shape of your life. And so I wanted Amy to be part of the Transformation Summit to really tell us her story. And your topic is really good, relationship with self.
Good.
So Amy, tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Thanks, Darrell. First of all, let me just say thank you for having me in this Transformation Summit. I love what you're doing. I love the initiative and mission to really bring transformation to people, and that we can share our own stories to help somebody else transform in their life. It truly is a passion that I have to empower others. So thank you for the invite, and just love what you're doing. The relationship with self is a great topic, I think. Of course, I think it's great, and that's why I made even a course around it, because my thought is that we think about and know that we need to develop our relationship with other people, right? Like, our close family members and our friends, and we want to have good relationships, and we have the challenge of relationship with others, and we know about that, And yeah. I also hope that people develop a strong relationship with God, that they have that spiritual component and relationship, with Him. So those are two relationships that we talk about a lot. But one thing I find that most people don't really register or think about a whole lot or work on is how they relate to themselves. Right? And so what is a relationship? What is a relationship in general? A relationship is our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions toward someone or something, right? We could even have a relationship with an organization, with things around us. So this is the premise of relationship with self, is how do I think about myself? How do I feel about myself? How do I act toward myself? And a lot of times we find that we're not so nice to ourselves. We're harder on ourselves way down deep. And we're doing things and saying things and feeling about ourselves in ways that are not empowering us, but we don't know it because it's just our natural, normal mode of thinking, and we just don't even register it. It just feels normal. So that's why I want to help people kind of dig into it and say, what are the thoughts I'm thinking about myself? How do I feel? How am I acting? And is it empowering me or disempowering me? So that's the premise of one of the things I coach on it, and in particular this course, and what I want to share within this interview.
Right. So Amy, what brought you to that point where you realized that you needed to have a better relationship with yourself?
Yeah.
Was there like that moment that,
I wouldn't say it was a moment. I would say it was progressive. And
okay.
also I have my own coach that I'm working with, and through coaching and doing my own personal transformation, it's like step by step you realize, wow, this is actually one of the most important foundations we can have, because how I relate to myself then impacts every other relationship that I have. So
Right.
I wouldn't say it was one like light bulb moment. It was more step by step, but that's what I want to help people have, is a light bulb moment. So it's like I went through a journey to get to this point, but I can hopefully
Right.
share it in such a way that someone can go ding and they have quicker transformation.
Right. Well, that makes sense. I mean, everybody that's watching this, they're on a journey. We're all on a journey.
We are.
And obviously you're watching this because you want to see transformation in your life. And that's how it started with you, was self-discovery, saying, okay, I'm on this journey, I'm on this path,
Yeah.
baby steps. And one step at a time, you began to realize that, hey, this is super important.
Yep.
And then you really started to dive into it a lot more.
Yep.
And discover it. And discover yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think too, Darrell, I'm thinking for those that might be watching that love to study the Bible and also input that into their life, there's a lot of scriptures about how we think, and about that we need to renew our mind so that we can have transformation. And so I've really found that, I've known that all my life I need to renew my mind, but the real practicality is of how. I feel like in this last season of my life, I've just up the ante, so to speak. And now I really have some very practical ways to figure out what I'm thinking and how to renew it, which applies to anybody. But I'm just mentioning this, that it actually even goes back to like the instructions that the Word of God gives us into how to live our best life, how to be in our best shape, so to speak, spiritually,
Right.
physically, mentally. And really it comes down to the renewal of our mind and continual transformation. It's like how the Creator made us. And He gave us this ability to think better than we do now. We can keep growing in our thinking, which then impacts every area of our life. So it's really
Right.
a topic I'm passionate about.
Right. So this all starts kind of with mindset as well.
Yeah. Well, for me, yes, because for me, with all the study and things that I'm, looking at, and you may have heard this, our viewers may have heard this, but I think this is really important to always emphasize, is that we have around 60,000 thoughts a day. I mean, it might not be that, it might be 50, it might be 40, it might be 80,000 thoughts in a day. And most of those are in our subconscious, in our programming, what we are automatically programmed for. Very few of that is in our conscious thinking. So, and that really comes, if we look at that in a very simple form, that comes way back from our formative years. We have programming, just like a computer or a laptop is programmed. That's why we have a personality. We usually kind of react the same way in similar situations, because we're programmed in such a way. That's why we have themes in our life and feelings that maybe come up, even especially negative ones that we can get triggered. And why? Because there's something down deeper. But a lot of times we haven't known how to get down into the deeper part of our programming. So if we have 60,000 thoughts going through our mind and, our mind and our heart every single day, we need to take some time to find out what it is we're actually thinking. Some of that's really working for us, helping us to progress, have success in life, good relationships. But guaranteed, we all have things that could be transformed to another and better level. And so I love to look at that. And to me, it really all comes down to that. And another teacher that I listen to quite a bit, and I think, from the studies, it's very interesting to know that really the majority of what I think today, I thought yesterday, and I thought the day before, and I thought the day before, and going back. So in other words, if we don't put intention to this, we're just going to keep, pretty much staying in that same path of thought, and how we think is producing our current day results. And so,
it's Groundhog Day
yeah.
for so many people.
Yeah. So it's really important that we learn practical skills and not make it so complex, but how can I really practically change? And so I can have a transformation in my life in maybe one particular area. I really want to transform in this area. Okay. For me, if I'm coaching somebody or teaching somebody, I'm going to say, let's start with finding out some of the things that you're thinking about and you're believing about yourself that's producing your current result. So whether it's weight loss, it's fitness, it's anything. And I can give you some examples even in my own life with physical fitness, where I had to transform my thought, and it then took me in, so I was able to then achieve the goal that I wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've done all this even during the pandemic.
I did. Well, yeah. I have to say I am happy and pleased with my past self that sometimes I like to look at my past self, my present self, and my future self,
Right.
And so I'm appreciative to my past self that she, Amy in my past, made some really good decisions even in the midst of pandemic. So I can really say, Darrell, I think I am in the best shape of my life. Maybe not my high school days, because, when you're a teenager and I was playing basketball and volleyball and, all the sports. So I was probably in my very best shape then. But in my adult years, beyond high school, I actually think I'm probably in the best shape of my life. But I'm not going to tell you my age, but it's a secret. But because I have issues. I guess I need coaching on that. But I'm probably most people guess me younger than I am, so thank God for that. But my point in that is that, as we age, and especially women, but men too, it gets harder. If you don't put the time and effort in, it actually gets harder to lose weight and to be fit. So, even at like my age, my mature age, and in the midst of a pandemic, I really believe I am in the best shape of my life. And it happened, now it would be about 2 years ago, right? So right before pandemic started, I really made that like New Year's goal. I want to be in the best shape of my life. And I'd already lost some weight previous to that. I had, for me, the ketogenic diet really works where I'm not promoting it necessarily for others. I'm just saying for me, it really works because a healthy keto, where I have very minimal carbs and then I eat healthy fats and healthy proteins. I had already slimmed down, and I actually have a story on that for getting in the best shape of my life. And so I wanted to go to the next step of like physical fitness. And thank God I was able to find a gym near me that I liked, and I won't go into all the detail, but long story short, they had a special running, and I'm in the Philippines, so for our viewers. So it's also like I was also able to get a much better price in terms of having my own trainer, to train me. So I tried it out for a month, and I kept him, because what I found, and this I believe is really important for people in terms of coaching and being a part of a community and having accountability, having a fitness coach who really focused on me and on my transformation helped me so much. And so as we went into pandemic, I didn't just say, I'm just going to eat my troubles away, and I forget it, and I'm just going to stay in bed. I stayed working out, and we figured out a way to do it. And I worked out pretty much 5 days a week with him on Zoom, even though we're in the same city, Wow. So I have a trainer. I got my own weights that are just, I can, take like their travel weights, so I can put them all into place, and I can make them. I have a little thing. So whether I'm here or if I'm traveling, I found a way, and I kept working out and do it on Zoom, and it's fabulous. So that's how I was. But I had to change mindset. I had to work through challenges, and I had to, when there was, there's all those decisions along the way. But I really believe it comes back to mindset, because mindset then leads to your actions.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so many people who've been stuck in COVID, which we all have, depression's been a big thing.
Yeah.
And people don't always see the options that are in front of them, because they kind of get tunnel vision.
True. Yeah.
And what I like about future self, or thinking about your relationship with self, is what do I have to do today to sacrifice a little bit so that my future self will benefit?
Exactly. Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there were days that you were like, oh man, lockdown is terrible. I don't like this. I mean, what did you do in your mind to battle that kind of, those feelings and, whatever, to realize I need to do this because otherwise my future self will suffer?
Yeah, that's really
good.
What
did that look like?
As you asked me that question, I'm kind of going back to I really did have a specific moment in the middle of lockdown. This was in general, probably not just with fitness, but overall. And like you're saying, just that you know, and I don't know, I mean, I know in different countries it was different things, but here we were really locked down in our houses, and we couldn't leave without a pass, a special pass for food and medicine. So when we say lockdown, we're truly locked down for months. And I remember my mind just started to go, I am so tired of being here. I need something else. Like my mind just was going down this road of like, I wish I could remember exactly the thoughts, but they were not helping me at all. And you know how you think and you just start feeling, you just go with the feeling. Like you don't, all of a sudden I just said, stop. Wait a minute. I have a choice here. I can either choose to focus right now on what I don't have, because it was all about what I didn't have, you know, or I can focus on what I do have. And I just remember this moment. It was like a crossover moment for me, crossroads. And I said, you know what? Look around. You have walls around you. You have shelter. You're, you know, not out in the rain or the heat or the sun. You have food, you have water, and you have air, and you have God. In this very moment, I actually have everything I need, like, to survive. If we're just looking at survival, which when I focused on that, I became thankful. Wow. Because I in this case, I switched my focus from what I didn't have to what I did have. And I had to do that because there's times, of course, we have to think and we have to plan for the things that we don't have. They're lacking in our life. But another teaching I like to teach from is let's not create from lack. In other words, I don't have this, therefore I need to create this. No, instead, let's always create from abundance. It doesn't mean we have abundance around us, but the truth is we have abundance in us. And if we pull on that abundance to create more externally, then we're doing it from an empowered point of view. And so I had to really change my mindset in that case and tell myself I have everything that I need right in this moment, and I will create more for the future. So that was one breakthrough for me. And then another thing, in terms of actual like physical fitness and your question regarding like past self, present self, and future self, this is a little trick I use for myself quite a bit, and hopefully our viewers can use this as well. I might be in the middle of a workout and hating it. You know, like I don't want to lift the weight again. My body's in pain, and I just,
done that.
My present self just wants to quit. So I'll ask my future self, and who's my future self? It's me in 30 minutes after the workout. And so I'll just, in my mind's eye, say, future self, what do you want me to do? And I listen to her, and she says, keep going, because I'm going to appreciate you for continuing the workout another 30 minutes. So even future self is not me a year from now necessarily. I mean, that's a good practice to do too, but I like to just ask myself in 30 minutes or an hour, okay, Amy, future self, what do you want present self to do? It sounds kind of weird, but it works for me to ask. And so then I can keep pushing. And then when I get, 30 minutes and I've finished that workout, I'm so happy. And then I congratulate myself and celebrate myself.
I think that's awesome, because when I thought of future self, I was thinking like, okay, I'm almost 400 pounds. I want to get to my goal weight, which is, 200 pounds lighter.
Right.
That is a very, very far future self.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so far off that
it's too far. Yeah.
It's too far.
Yeah.
So saying my 30-minute future self is really cool, because then I can think, okay, if I eat these chocolates now, or if I do this or this or this, how's my future self in 30 minutes going to react? Well, number one, I'm going to have anxiety. I'm going to feel like I lost it. I let everybody down. I let myself down. All of those feelings. Well, my future self doesn't really want those feelings.
No, not at all, right?
Because my future self in 30 minutes is still going to be a little bit sore and
exactly
having just finished the workout,
or
whatever it is. It doesn't have to be future self in relation to working out.
For anything, it works for anything.
Anything.
Yeah, it really does.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I love this. I'm using this often. Like, what is my future? And like I said, and what we've just discussed, future self just mean it could be me later on today. It could be me tomorrow or me next week. And it's a great way to sort of, because it's all still us, and it comes down to how am I relating to myself? How am I treating my present day self? How am I treating my future? And actually, I just want to bring this up because this actually happened to me was it yesterday or the day before? How I even treat my past self, because we're doing media and all kinds of stuff, and I see my pictures from, a couple years ago now, and I started going, oh, I hate those pictures, and I don't, I was starting to not hate on myself, but dislike my little bit chubbier face and not, not as fit as I am now. And I was like starting to on my past self. And then I thought, I really feel like it was the Lord was like, Amy, stop that. Don't don't do that to your past self. Thank your past self that she made the decisions to get you to where you are today, and celebrate her. She worked hard and she was actually doing her best. It's still me, right? It sounds like it's another person, but but this is a really good practice for us to treat ourselves nice. We so often have thoughts and feelings toward ourselves that we would actually never say to somebody else, but we say it to ourselves. So that was even a little thing that just came up for me these last few days, looking at past pictures. And I thought, no, instead of saying, oh, I look so horrible back then, I'm saying, no, thank you. Thank you. Yes, you look better now, but you're the one that made the decisions that I can look better today. So thank you. And I celebrate you. And you did your best at that time. Oh, it makes my present. I feel better about myself overall. And it empowers me to keep making changes so that, I'm not using an energy of negativity to have action in my life. And so often, I want to mention this too, because a lot of times people try to go down a fitness path, especially in health and fitness, because they hate their current body. Like, I hate myself, so I'm going to go to the gym. I hate what I look like. I hate that. You know what I mean? So there's this sort of an energy of it's negativity, and it can drive us, right? It can drive us to make change. However, the better way to be empowered is not to draw from negative energy, but to draw from positive energy. So in other words, I love myself so much, I'm going to start eating healthy. I love myself so much that I am going to choose to have physical fitness. And I do it from a basis of loving myself, not hating myself. No matter what we look like, no matter the shape we're in, love is much, 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 much more powerful. And so that's what I promote to people, and especially in this journey, it's so easy for us to hate ourselves, and especially for women. I don't know, you can speak about for men, but so many, women, there's this sometimes internal, we're just so hard on ourselves and hating some part of ourselves. No, let's choose to at least if we can't love, and if we can, do everything from a basis of loving ourselves, and it will actually give us a lot more energy and hope in being on this journey.
I really like that you brought that up, because in my mind, I think, my future self, is that somebody that I want to be in terms of I'm shedding my old self and becoming something different? I don't think so.
No.
I think we all have some really great things in us.
We do.
That sometimes we minimalize or don't appreciate.
Yep.
And so, there's things that we all don't like. I mean, I was talking to one of our speakers about body image, right? And my thoughts were, hey, I'm 400 pounds. If I can get down to 200, wow, I'll have a different body image.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I'm skinnier and some lady says, oh, you look great, but man, your ears are big.
Oh, man.
I know I've said this several times in the summit, but it's like I discovered at that point that I still have a body image problem, even though I'm thinner.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily go away. I really like your thought of it's about reframing how we think about ourselves, looking at the positive parts of ourselves, and then moving forward from that.
Yeah, and Darrell, even I want to say this: even if we can love the parts that we dislike, that's the biggest challenge.
Right.
Because it's easy to love the parts that are looking good, but what about the parts that aren't? And still to this day, I have to keep practicing that with certain parts of, if we're talking physical body. But, to all of our viewers, you can take these principles and apply it really to any area of life. But since we're focusing on this, physical fitness is a great way to learn these skills and then apply anywhere. But, it's to choose to say, you know what, it's choosing to focus on what does work, what we do have, loving it. And even places like in our life or heart or emotions, let's say we have emotional pain or challenges we've gone through, if we're talking about now in the emotional realm, because I love to work with people in terms of their emotional health and empowerment, because it all fits together. But it's those sort of areas that we if we can put love into those areas, instead, love is what brings transformation. And it's worthy to note this, that love doesn't mean we stay in the same, because some people hear this and they think loving themselves just means we let ourselves, I'm just going to love myself and I'm going to let myself just stay as is. You know what I mean? It's like it's like, what's the word? Like indulgence. Oh, okay, I'm just going to do whatever. It's like selfish. I just love myself and I'm just going to indulge. I'm just going to be what. No, that's not the kind of love I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of love where we love ourselves for change and growth and empowerment. So if there's an area that's in pain, there's an area that's not working, there's an area that's really, does need transformation, or there's, again, especially with emotional pain and hurts, we're going to love that area for transformation, not just to stay wallowing in our pain or in our, even in places where we're not physically fit. It's important that we steward our body. So we're not going to just love ourselves. I'm just going to stay as I just love myself as is. No, there's places of change, but let's change ourselves from love, not from hate. So that's a big, I think it's very, very important that, especially as coaches and teachers, we really help people walk down that. But if it's this kind of love and loving ourselves in this way, it's actually going to empower us to make the changes that we want.
Yeah, that is so good. Because not everybody's ready to make that decision to go, okay, I'm going to lose 30 pounds and I'm going to exercise it all off. No, I think we need to start more simple.
Yeah.
And start working with inside ourselves so that it will transform and come out on the outside, if that makes sense.
Totally. Let me give our viewers something practical, like a next step, because I think everyone loves a next step, right? Because we're talking big, like how do I love myself and transform? One thing I have my clients do in my coaching course and in courses, and it's actually in the Relationship with Self course, which we're going to talk about too. If viewers want to actually go through a course that I have put together to help you transform and really look at how you relate to your past, present, and future self, then we have that and we're going to offer that to you. But one starting point is to do what's called a thought download. Okay. And you just get a piece of paper or your journal, and let's just take physical fitness, take one area of your life. Again, it could be applied to others. And let's just take your body, how you think about your body. Just write every thought that comes to you about what you think. Write it down. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it. All you're trying to be is a watcher and observer of your own thoughts. Because when we can pull them out, dig them out, do a thought download onto a piece of paper, get them out. We think so many things, Then later we can go back and start to look at, hey, this one, I really think that about myself, and how am I going to transform this? But I have to warn you though, when you do it, sometimes you're like, it can be a little bit depressing to see all the thoughts that you think. However, it's a really good first step to start getting, because if it's in there, it's in the programming, let's get it out so we can actually analyze, look, and decide. We have the ability to decide on our thinking, and this is what we kind of know that, but we don't. It really takes practice to find the thought and then to change the thought. So that's a starting point for people. Is do a thought download. What am I currently thinking? You're going to find some good ones. You're going to find some neutral, and you're going to find some negative. I like to put it into two categories: empowering and disempowering. And of course, the disempowering thoughts are the ones that we want to then begin to transform into something that is more empowering. And that gives us first steps. For example, excuse me one second here. I find myself at times, I don't know why, I'm still working on this, but every once in a while something will come up and I tell myself, you're such an idiot. And somehow that's in my programming and it just naturally comes in. If I don't catch myself, I just tell myself that and just keep going on in my day. I'm getting better at stopping. Why would I tell myself I'm an idiot? I wouldn't say that to you, Darrell. I wouldn't say it to my team. I mean, unless I was really ticked off at somebody, I might say that. But it's only if I was so ticked off. So why am I saying that to myself? Why? I should tell myself something that's more empowering. Okay, you don't know this yet, that you didn't do that well enough, but I believe in you. You can change this. It's so much better than you're an idiot. And so my point is, we got to find the thought. We got to know what we're thinking, because so much of it's like a glass ceiling type of in our life. It's a ceiling, it's a limitation, but it's glass because we don't see it. So a thought download is a great starting point for finding out what's actually going on with those 60,000 thoughts that are going through our mind and our heart each day.
Wow, that's quite an exercise.
Yeah.
These are like the first thoughts that come to your head, not I'm going to analyze this and get stuck on number 3. You just start firing out thoughts.
Just get it down.
Look at them later.
Yeah. Don't. The key the key is not to judge them at that moment, not to try to analyze them or even change them. It's just simply to get them, it's like get them out from here and here on paper so that later you can analyze. And that's why I also suggest with a coach that understands this sort of thing. So because it can help, help you really then take it step by. You can do it on your own, of course, but with a coach, it just helps you. Somebody that's there, that believes in you and is helping you choose a few. And how are we actually going to transform this? It's really a powerful practice, and a lifetime practice.
Yeah, it's a never-ending thing for sure. So how do people begin to change their mindset?
Well, I think there's some things that we can just make a decision on. So once we recognize what we're thinking, there can be real freedom in just realizing, wow, I think that. And it's like a choice. We have willpower. There are times it's just easy enough to say, like once we see it, we can change it. And we can truly change it. It's like really changed. And we know it's changed because then it's like the feeling is there, the thought it's active. It's not one we're still trying to believe. Like if we're still trying to believe it, then we're still in the journey, right? Because there's going to be some of those things that's going to take a while to change. So I'll give another example how I changed a thought going back to my ketogenic diet when I was wanting to lose weight. So when I was in one spot, like not traveling, because before pandemic, I was traveling like all the time. So there was a time I was in, one location. And so I was able to choose my meals. I was able to choose the food, and I was losing the weight. But then I had to travel. And so in my mind, subconscious, like not conscious, but conscious, I believed I can't do this when I travel because it's too hard to choose the food when I'm traveling. Right. So I believed my thinking. I believed it to be true because that's what I thought, right? We all think our thoughts are the truth. They're not necessarily. Every thought can be transformed, and not every thought is actually true. It's our truth at the moment because we believe it, but we can change it. So exactly that happened. Now, again, remember, I don't have any concept that this is going on yet because I'm just going with my programming. So when I travel, I can't eat. I'm not eating keto. Why? Because I'm believing I can't. And then I, put a little bit of weight on. I'm not eating the keto. Finally, after a time period, I realized it's like I used this. I don't know if I did a thought download at that point, but I'm using my coaching and I'm using my own, transformation. And all of a sudden I realized, okay, I'm believing I can't do this when I travel. That's my disempowering thought. It's my limiter.
Right.
So by seeing that I believed it, that was my light bulb moment, knowing that I believed it, because previous I didn't even know I was believing it. When I knew that, then I was able to make the decision, say, nope, I changed my thought from I can't do this when I travel to it might be more challenging, but I can do this. And sure enough, when I changed my thought, I then changed my action when I traveled. And to this day now, it's become a lifestyle because I believe I can do it. So that's a sample of a simple mind transformation, and it changed the results in my life. Now there's others. It goes a bit deeper and it takes more. And I don't think we have time in this interview. But if I was coaching,
we're getting close to the end of our session now. But I'm glad you brought that up because I had the exact same experience because we traveled a lot before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time when we were trying specific types of diets, like, shakes and different things where you had to order product. And that made it very difficult to travel and continue to do. So it wasn't sustainable. Yeah. But like what you were doing, which was keto, or people who are doing intermittent fasting, or basically eating from all the 7 food groups, doesn't matter if you're traveling or not. It's just a decision and a mindset change.
You find a way. Yeah, you find a way.
You find a way.
When you have the right mindset.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just before we go, I want to just explore real quickly here in terms of, you said earlier, hey, we could do this on our own. And yes, you could, right? I mean, YouTube is amazing. You can find anything you want on Google and YouTube. But it might take you a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And so I feel personally, and I kind of want to hear from you, how important it is to align yourself with people like coaches who can help you get to that next level.
Well, to me, now it's my highest priority to have to do this practice it in my own life, because of course we like you just mentioned, we can do it on our own, but normally most of us don't have the full discipline. Plus we have blind spots, right? We can't see everything. So
Exactly.
I'll just go back, to make it simple, I'll go back to my fitness coach. So when I have a fitness coach that's right there and giving me my workout, looking at like every angle that I'm, making my squat in, and adjust this, so I can get maximum benefit from the same workout, right? Because it might be just minor adjustments, but I get a much more benefit to that muscle group because I changed my position just a little bit. He can see it from something I can't see it.
Right.
So that's one thing for a coach. That's true in especially our emotional health and our thinking. How much better to have somebody that's right there with us, not judging us, but believing in us. That's what a coach does. Believes in you to help you pull out your best. They're not there to judge you. Oh, you're wrong here. You shouldn't do that. Why are you thinking that? No, they're there to say, oh, let's find it, transform it. I believe in you. I see your potential. That's exactly what a coach is, right? And then the second thing, with my fitness coach, I find that I do double the workout when he's with me than if I'm on my own, right? Because at that mark when I want to quit, even if I ask my future self, but sometimes, if I have that coach that's like, come on, you can do another set, just one more set, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's just pushing me just beyond. And so that's very true. And I think the most important in our life, number one, is from my perspective, our spiritual life, our relationship with God. Second, our emotional and our thinking, right? And then third, our physical fitness. So if we can take that aspect and have accountability, and accountability just meaning I like to say this for accountability, to give an account for our abilities. Because sometimes we say the word accountability and it sounds like negative. Oh, I have accountability from some. No, you have an ability, you have a potential. So let's give an account for the potential and ability that's in me to fully maximize it to the greatest efficiency. And that's what a coach, that's what a community like this can do. That's people, even friends around us that are like, helping us and encouraging us in that right direction. So yes, long answer to say, absolutely important, the input that's going into us from the people that are around us, for sure.
Exactly. And that's the whole reason why I'm hosting this Transformation Summit, is because, hey, I'm 60 now, and it took me a long time to realize where I needed to get. Where if we can have people around us, a support system, I really believe we can get there faster.
Absolutely. And we should all learn from others that have, there's always going to be people in life that have kind of done the road of hard knocks to learn something, and then they give it to us crystallized and ready to go. But then we can do that for the next generation or the people around it. The things that we're learning, we can give. So it's kind of like we all grow a lot faster if we're smart. And I like to quote this, and it comes from Jim Rohn. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's one of the personal development teachers, like Tony Robbins looks up to him. He's passed away now, but from years ago, Jim Rohn. And when I was young, I was able to be in some of his teachings, and he really impacted my life. And one thing he would always say is, always remain a student. So no matter how far you've progressed in life, always remain a student. In other words, you're looking for somebody that's gone farther, learned something that you can pick up on, and you can always be incorporating that into your life. And if we maintain that mindset, we can keep growing faster, and then we can give what we've learned to the people around us that are still on a similar path. So it's important.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great thing to do.
Amy, this has been wonderful spending this time with you, and thank you so much for watching. Now, you can get in touch with Amy. How can they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Okay, well, maybe our Facebook site in general. I lead an organization, as you mentioned, called Global Impact. So we do the anti-human trafficking work. We do a lot of things. So that is a great way, and hopefully we can show the link, because it's facebook.com/myglobal. That's our Global Impact. I think there's some other global impacts out there, so find ours. And a second way would be, if you're interested in the course Relationship with Self, then you can also find us there, and we'll be giving you the access to that.
Yeah,
so
we'll have a special link for that.
So those were the two ways to get in touch with us.
Awesome. So we will provide that for everyone. Now, anyone that's attending the live summit, Amy is going to give someone one of you a special gift. And what is that, Amy?
That's access to the Relationship with Self course. And that's exciting. We do have a value on that of $179, to have access to the course. And it's set up in modules. It's self-study, and there's videos there. There's a workbook where you can, print that out or of course just do it digitally, but it gives you something to do each day, like even if it's just you decide how much time you want to spend, but helping you find your thoughts, transform them, just a lot of things that we talked about, but helping you walk through it step by step. So that's what's in the course.
Awesome. Thanks again, Amy, and thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, be blessed. Hey everyone, wasn't that amazing? Relationship with self. So tell me, do you have a good relationship with yourself? Who does, really, right? If we're going to be honest with each other. Listen, I am going to do the draw right now. So I have everybody's name in that's registered for the summit. And I hit pick a name. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I'd like to congratulate, let me see here, Louise Dawson, who has won the Relationship with Self course. Awesome. So Louise, we will be in touch with you by email, and we'll connect you and Amy so that you can avail her course. Hey everyone, thank you for spending time with us again. I noticed that one of our attendees, Jo Ellen Kruger, has actually taken Amy's course, and she's been chatting in here saying how amazing it is. I know I've got access to the course as well. It is an amazing course. So even though you didn't necessarily win the course, I invite you to go to Amy's site and you can get access to it. It's worth it. I tell you, it's worth it. But yeah, wasn't that good? I mean, I really, really like the idea about not my relationship with myself in 10 years from now, but what about 30 minutes from now, right? So if I don't do this, how's myself going to feel about that in 30 minutes from now? Negatively? Positively? Job well done? Pretty cool, eh? So anyway, relationship with self. So our next speaker is Sarah Ross, and she's from the Midwest, and she's going to be talking to us about destructive patterns that mask the brain. Very, very cool. So I am going to load up her video, and before I do that, remember we have bonus sessions. So everyone that has the All Access Pass has access to 4 hours of bonus sessions, and Amy has a bonus session where we talk about reframing the word accountability, giving an account for your ability. Very cool. So again, you can get the All Access Pass for that if you don't already have it. It's only $39. Well worth it. Let me drop the link in here real quick. Bang, All Access Pass. You can see that. Very cool. We will show that on the screen. I just use a bit.ly one, so it's a smaller URL. You don't really have to write it down, even though it's showing on the screen. If you go to the chat, you'll see it in there. One click, bang, you're there. Okay, so next session is with Sarah Ross, and I will load up her video right now, and we'll get started. Welcome, Sarah Ross. Hey everyone, I am delighted to have Sarah Ross join us today. Now, Sarah started working in the health and wellness world in 2012 with a passion to help others become the best version of themselves. She struggled with an eating disorder for most of her young life, and use those destructive patterns to mask the pain of trauma and not
I
can't
believe Louise came up.
she was good enough.
Isn't
I'm
that...
gonna start this again.
Louise
that was almost
Bull?
like I got my tangled up and started back and talkwards.
Because Louise Dawson, so I just put it in there, and then I'm going, Louise Dawson.
Anyway, okay.
That's Louise Bull.
Hey everyone, I am so delighted to have Sarah Ross join us today. Now, Sarah started working in the health and wellness world in 2012 with a passion to help others become the best version of themselves. Now, she struggled with an eating disorder for most of her young life and used those destructive patterns to mask the pain of trauma and not feeling like she was good enough. She knows exactly how it feels to look in the mirror and not love what you see. And she knows how exhausting it is when you're doing so much and you're on your way to burnout. Now, Sarah is inspired to help women to gain awareness of these patterns that have kept them stuck. She believes that through coaching and training, you will find a safe place to become the woman you were created to be, without judgment or shame, and you will learn to love your body, fuel your mind, and nurture your soul. I'm so happy that you're with us, Sarah.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
I was able to talk with your mom earlier, and she told me a little bit more of your story that you never told me the first time around.
Yeah.
And wow, folks, Sarah's got an amazing story. And I love her topic, destructive patterns that mask the pain. Now, we've all got patterns in our life, absolutely. Some of us are here because we need to shed a few pounds. Other people have to gain a few pounds. I was talking to one lady and she needed to gain weight so that she could conceive better. So everybody is on a different journey. And so whatever reason you're here today to listen, I know that Sarah can be part of that story. So I'm really, really interested, and I know everyone else is, about your story, about those destructive patterns that mask the pain. So tell us more about that.
All right. Well, again, I am so very glad to be here. And like Darrell was saying, we all have patterns in our life. Most of the time, we are not really sure why. And when I was younger, I struggled with an eating disorder, and I knew that was kind of where I was escaping to, but I didn't really understand the why behind all of it. And so that was something that controlled a lot of my life moving forward into my young adult life. And it wasn't until I was able to look at that, there was trauma, which we all experience trauma in some way. That word can sometimes feel a little scary or harsh, or we feel like, oh, well, I don't have something that's bad enough to be considered trauma. But it's anything traumatic that literally stops us in our tracks. And I had someone tell me a long time ago that for me, having trauma as a kid, he said, kids are amazing observers and awful interpreters. And I feel like that can go into being an adult as well. We observe these things that may happen to us, but we don't always know how to interpret why or the effect that they have on us. So for me, I had these patterns in my world, and it was just masking the initial pain of that trauma I experienced as a kid. And so until I was able to uncover what that was and deal with those issues, the patterns continued. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so crazy. One big thing for me, I used to perform on stage, and I shared my story one day, which I'd never done before. I hadn't talked much about the eating disorder and the body image issues that I struggled with. And as I started to share my story and be vulnerable, other people were impacted. I believe that we are so impacted when we hear stories and we share, we can find connecting pieces that we have with other people. And at the same time, it was so healing for me to allow those things to come out and to be honest about where I had been and where I came through. And it honestly has led me into how much passion I have now in the health and wellness world, because I wanted to take that aspect of my story and that hardship and turn it into something that I could help people, which is where I'm working with women now, uncovering their own patterns from their traumas or things that happened to them, or maybe things that they experienced, and being able to recognize those patterns and to figure out why they continue to recur. Because that's usually what happens. For me, the eating disorder, it was just a result of something else. That wasn't
Right.
the main, it was like a symptom of the actual sickness that was going on.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. So.
Now, I understand that you're a bit of a child star.
That's a part of the story in there. Yep.
Part of the story in there. Yeah. Her and her sister sing. Yep. And I can't wait to hear some videos of that, because your mom says your harmony is just, when you get three sisters harmonizing, I can just imagine.
There's something beautiful that happens.
Just the similarities in the voice and all. Anyways, my wife and I used to sing in churches and couples retreats and all that for many years. So that's part of our story and part of our heart. But yeah, so experiencing this at a young age, you had mentioned that kids don't know how to interpret it. And a lot of us are here today. We might be over 40, and we want to see transformation in our life. And it starts with us, absolutely, right? When we start looking at ourselves, start changing ourselves, I think there's a trickle effect that happens throughout our whole family. But what's interesting is even children are affected by trauma and eating disorders and mindset issues and stuff like that. So that happened at a very young age. What was it like for you to go through that process in terms of, like, was it a couple of years or a few years? And so many of us think we can do it on our own.
We cannot. Yeah.
I don't think we can, right? So what did that look like for you?
Well, so I was 13 years old whenever I finally said, I need help. I can't do this by myself. And I went and lived at a treatment center for 2 months in Arizona. And so my personality is, I understand this so much better now as an adult, but I very much think that I am only valuable or worthwhile based on what I do or what I offer. I had a really hard time as a kid feeling like I was good enough or I was doing enough. And so when I went to this treatment center, I had learned early on, and it's so crazy too, because the patterns that we learn to mask the pains that we experience, they look different for everybody. And I think that's based on personality, it's based on upbringing, things that we have access to. But for me, I learned one of the masks that I had was a literal mask of acting like I was fine, to the point where when I was in that treatment center, I have journals still from when I would just journal, and I lived there for 2 months, and I had convinced myself that I was well enough to be on my own, to leave and to go back to my normal life. And I mean, even convinced a lot of the people there that were that were therapists. And I had one therapist that did not believe me. He was like, I still don't think that you truly are okay yet on your own, because we're not meant to be on our own. And so for me, that was something when I came home from that treatment center, I felt like I had to keep up, again, this image that I was okay and I was pushing through and I was strong and determined. And so if I had any kind of setback, I was afraid to share that with people, because I felt like, again, I wasn't good enough. And so those patterns continued, I mean, well into my young adult life. And they got better. And then I would fall back into the same kind of pattern. Because I feel like we can have awareness of a pattern, but that doesn't mean that we can fully learn how to change it. And so for me, I would take a bunch of steps forward, and then I would take steps back. And through that journey, I really fell in love with movement. And I tried to learn how to fuel myself well, but I still had this mindset of not loving my own skin, and also thinking that there were foods that were good or there were foods that were bad. And that continued to keep me stuck in that mindset. And I fully believe that there's a way to fuel yourself well, and God made real foods and things from the earth. But also as a teenager, again, I wasn't interpreting well the fact that there still was pain from when I was a kid.
Right.
And I feel like when we experience trauma, we get stuck there. And
Right.
so the loop continues, and we can be great and we're going about our life. We feel like we're in these routines and we're taking care of ourselves, and then something happens and it re-triggers the trauma from the past. And
Right.
so
Right.
that continues that loop, and it could be, a few days that go by, it can be years that go by. And so it wasn't until I was in, my early 20s that I really started doing the work of digging into that trauma and talking about it and letting go of some of those things that I had held on to that I thought was my fault, that wasn't. And through that, uncovering, which is so hard and it's uncomfortable because we want to keep things buried and we want to look like we have it all together. But for me, I got to the point where I was like, I'm not actually moving forward. And I really want to move forward and I want to be well. And so that started this journey for me of having that awareness and that recognition of some of these things that had happened, taking ownership in my own part of those patterns, because we are the common denominator in our stories. That doesn't mean things don't happen to us. It doesn't mean we don't do things, but we are the common denominator. So I started to, again, uncover those patterns that kept me stuck. And it opened up this whole world of freedom. And which is why, again, the program that I go through with women, I'm so passionate about focusing on the mind and the body and the soul, the health of all three, because for so much of my life, I only focused on my body. And I was obsessed with how I looked. I was obsessed with how I ate. I was obsessed with trying to control so I didn't have to deal with the pain.
Right.
And so
I have a question about the destructive patterns in terms of sometimes we don't even see them. Other people do, but we don't. And I think part of taking a step forward is being real with yourself, telling yourself the truth. But what do you do if you want transformation, you don't know where to start, you realize, okay, maybe I do have some destructive patterns, but what are they? How do I discover what they might be? Can I do that on my own, or is this an exercise I need to do with someone else that's close to me, who's willing to be real? I don't know. What do you think?
I fully believe we are not meant to do life alone. And yet we try so hard to do that. And we think we're supposed to have it together before we present ourselves to someone else. And that, for me, with my personality, was what I was doing. And it wasn't until I was honest with myself and then honest with other people. And then, because I kind of was like, again, you can have awareness, but that doesn't mean you have the tools to change. And so how do we do that? You can research all the things online, but having a community or having a person that you feel safe with, that there was a something that we did when I was at that treatment center, and they called it Truth and Love. And it was this whole family week. My family came in and we basically spoke our truth, but in love. And so I highly recommend to people, when you get to that place where you go, I know I have patterns. I know there's this continual loop that I'm going through. I don't know how to do that. Find someone that you trust, that you know is going to meet you without judgment and is going to meet you with love, but also with that truth, because that's important. Sometimes we're afraid to hear the truth, because with that comes the responsibility of doing something.
And it's tough, because sometimes when you're working with somebody that's been in extreme denial for so long, now they want to discover their truths. When someone when you ask them, hey, I want you to be raw with me, and then suddenly they are, and then you bounce back with, yeah, but you have this wrong in your life, and this and this and this and this.
Yep. Oh yeah, we all do that. Oh, for sure.
It's just like human reaction, right?
We're defending ourselves.
Exactly. So it's good to know that, when we get into these meaningful discussions, that at times we have to kind of ignore the emotions that come up around it, because they're knee-jerk reactions and we don't necessarily mean them, but they're just there because of safety. We're trying to protect ourselves. Right? It's difficult. Absolutely difficult.
I had somebody tell me one time about that. They were like, if you can enter into a relationship with people that you love and you trust and that you want to know you well, if you can enter into that without thinking that they are against you, you can actually have a conversation, and hopefully the other person feels the same way. It's when we feel like this person is going to attack me, we're constantly on the defense. And that's where I was at when I started trying to be honest with people. I mean, I was coming from, my personality is really outgoing and bubbly, and so I always seemed like I was fine. But then when someone tried to go deep with me, I would shut down. And I would literally, I mean, sometimes so crazy.
Divert, squirrel.
Oh yeah, thinking about this now, I would like stare off at the wall and like emotionally disconnect, because I was so disconnected from how I felt internally. And so I tell people all the time, it's a practice. It's not something like you don't have an expectation that you decide, I want to transform myself, I want to change these patterns. There's not a like it happens overnight, because the time that we have been living in that trauma or the pain or the destructive patterns is usually a long time. And so that doesn't just disappear. There's a lot to uncover. There's a lot to be honest about. And the more that we practice that, the easier it gets to have that vulnerability.
Yeah. As a coach, when I talk to clients, I have no agenda. I'm not really close to them. And that's where the safety is in a coach, because whatever's said, mom's the word, it's not going to go anywhere. So there's that air of safety. But sometimes they'll say something and already I know that this is a destructive pattern. Or so I'll ask a question that's so outside of their realm, it causes them to have like a pregnant pause, as I call it. And it's like, oh my goodness, I never thought of that before. And so I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat, hoping that their answer or what they get from it is, I'm not directing them, so I just give an answer, but I'm kind of hoping they're going to go in a positive direction. And all of a sudden they'll come up with something that has nothing to do with what I thought it would do with. And it's like, okay, well, that's okay. We just get another coaching session together.
We'll try again.
But seriously, it's like peeling the onion, isn't it? I mean, little layer by layer, and eventually people will figure it out on their own. And that's where coaches come in, is we're not there to peel your onion. We're there to hold you capable to peel your own onion. And some people, they do it rather quickly. Other people, it takes a long time.
Yeah, I've been working in the fitness world. I'm a fitness trainer, and I've been doing that now for 10 years. And it's so interesting, because when I entered into the training, I realized I'm showing up in people's houses a few days a week, some 5 days a week, some 2 days a week. And with the training, if I don't show up, usually they don't move until they see me the next time. And so when I transitioned into coaching, I realized, I was like, oh, this is so different, because my desire is to get people to the place where they do it on their own. And it's different. It's a different kind of accountability. It's a different kind of encouragement, inspiration, but ultimately it's just a safe space for people to take the time that they need to get to the place that they want to be. And I mean, like you said, it looks different for everybody, but it really is peeling one layer. Because I'll do the same thing. I'll be like, okay, here's this thought, or here's this question, and I'll be waiting. And then I'll be like, I remember the times that someone did that for me, and I wasn't ready yet to recognize that thing or to take ownership or to change. And so, I mean, that's the beauty of it. We all have our own story and our own time frame of healing and our journey of whatever wellness you are trying to attain. But it takes time.
It takes time, and my onion is still not fully
Oh, me
peeled.
neither. Oh yeah, I find new
I don't think any of us
right.
are.
Oh,
It's a life
it
journey,
is.
right?
Yep, it
Yeah.
is. Which is honestly, it
Wow.
keeps us though. I mean, I think that's why community is so important, because with the coaching that I do with women, it's group coaching, and I'll watch them realize like, oh, I'm not alone in the way that I feel. And even with me as a coach, there's moments where someone in the group shares their story, and it'll like hit a part of my story, and I'll be like, I fully
Yeah.
understand, and these are still things that I am processing through, or I'm in my own road to wellness I'm moving through, because we never fully arrive. We just continue to gain tools and awareness and hopefully keep growing.
Exactly. And we never stop
Never.
growing. You could be 95 years old. You could be like Betty
Yep.
White, lived to almost 100.
Mhm.
I'm sure if she was still alive, she would say, hey, you never stop
Yep,
learning.
never. Yeah,
Right?
I think when we do, that's when things get a little scary.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, really what we need to do is take a moment, pause, and go, okay, what destructive patterns do we have in our own life? What are the masks that we're wearing? So often, we get out in public and we look one way, but when we're at home, our family sees something entirely
Yeah.
different. We want to be authentic. And I think the world appreciates authentic people. But, we still have to be caring. We still have to, get along with one another.
Yep.
So, we don't want to be so authentic that, we're like sandpaper.
For sure.
Right. So there's community, and there's living in community, right? So you're going to be buying your groceries with someone that you're not going to share your life story with. But we do definitely need to be in a journey together with someone.
Yes. Oh,
right?
I totally agree. I think there's so much power in that. I mean, I know that there's pivotal moments in my life of realizations, and sometimes they happen with me and God. I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
me and someone close to me that loved me enough to be honest. But all of those moments, I wasn't alone. I was in some kind of community or just with someone else. And so I think that part, it's why I love group coaching. I mean, it's different. It's uncomfortable when you first start it, because a lot of times people will sign up for the group that I have, and it's like, I know I'm here to make some changes, but that means I have to actually show people where I'm at, because you have to know where you are to know where you want to go. And
absolutely,
sometimes I feel like, again, we think we have to put on, like you were saying, this face of perfection, but at the same time, we admire people that are real and that are authentic, and we desire that so much. And so I think it's why it's so important to figure out why we are the way that we are, not just who we are. Like, some personality tests will be like, well, this is who you are. It's like, okay, but why do I do those things? Like, what is the driving factor? What's my motivation for doing those things? Because then we can usually shift patterns once we figure out that why. So, and I also think too, I start with, I do the mind, body, soul with my coaching, and I start with the mind aspect, because mindset it's so important. And we could start with the body, get you into a fitness routine and eating better, but if your mindset hasn't shifted, we usually don't continue in those healthy patterns.
Yeah, no sustainability. Yeah. Something that came to my mind was, in terms of destructive patterns, like we have one of our speakers, Danya Douglas Hunt. She used to train Olympic athletes, and her sessions about inner dragons. She had made a comment about slaying your dragon or training your dragon, because sometimes these destructive patterns, we think they're slain, but really they're not. They'll come back and haunt us at some other point in life, or it might be a continuous journey. So would you agree that, sometimes it's a matter of training the dragon versus slaying it?
It's something that I actually talk about a lot because
Yeah.
I feel like there is an expectation that if I'm moving in this journey of taking care of myself, all the bad things are supposed to go away. Like the parts of myself I don't like, that I struggle with, should be gone. But that expectation is unrealistic, because I love that. It is training those dragons, because the reality is we all have patterns that we come back to based on personality, based on upbringing, based on the way we view the world, value systems.
Trauma.
It's just, it's training them and learning. And I do this thing, or I have people do this thing where it's like, if you have a negative pattern pop up, or a thought that pops up that's continual, to just stop in a moment, journal down that negative, and then put next to it the truth. And just continue to do that. You might not believe the truth part for a long time, but that's that practice. It's that training of that dragon. So eventually, it doesn't mean the negative thought won't pop up. It doesn't mean something happens in your life and you fall back into an unhealthy pattern. It just means you can see it and have awareness and know what the truth is, or know where you can take yourself to, because you've been there.
Right.
And so, it's a continual. I think we have to be aware of those patterns, because when we're not, we can wake up and be like, I know that for me with the eating disorder, when I was younger, I would think that I was fine, and I would just kind of ignore the little indicators that I was slipping back. And then I would be backwards, and I would go, how did I get here? And so it's, training those dragons, knowing that it's not going to fully ever be gone, but you can get to a space where you are in control of those things.
Exactly. I like it. And when the dragons poke their little head up, that's probably the time to get online with your support group or with your coach, and just be brutally honest and say, hey, I woke up this morning, little dragon A popped his head up. This is how I'm feeling. I mean, we can't ignore our feelings, right? Because we've got all these chemicals running through our body, and as we're making our transformation, eating better, different things, we're going to be having a lot of stuff going on, right? Things that are somewhat out of our control, because they will get into control, but it takes time, right? So sharing with people that, hey, I'm having a problem, and they just support you and say, hey, listen, you can do it. I know you can do it. I'll put a little prayer up for you, whatever. We need that. We really need that, right?
Sometimes I honestly think, depending on where we are in our world, sometimes that's really all that we need, is to voice it. And then to go, okay, and then have a support system, which is so important, because again, trying to do it on your own, we just keep falling back, and then we just hate ourselves more because we're back in a pattern, and we're so negative to ourselves. The way we talk to ourselves can be terrible sometimes. We would never talk to someone else the way we talk to ourselves. And so, I think that as soon as that comes up, you go to somebody and you're like, hey, this was a thought, this was a struggle, I just needed to say it.
Yeah. Telling yourself the truth. Hey, folks, don't suffer in silence. There's no need for that. There's so many people out there who are passionate about helping people just like you. Sarah's one of them. We've got 19 or 20 speakers that all feel the same way as I do. And so we're at the end of our time, Sarah. I can't believe it. Oh, my goodness. Time flies. Anyway, listen, everyone that's attending the summit, Sarah's going to give you something as a free gift. So what is that, Sarah?
Okay, so it's 5 essentials for a healthy mind, body, and soul. And so it's kind of walking through some of the things that you can add into your routine. They're super easy to add in. That just helps you on that journey, on your own road to wellness.
Awesome. And then one person that's attending the live summit is going to get a free gift from you as well. What is that?
So exciting. Whoever you are, I'm stoked to meet you. We're going to do it'll be a 30-minute session with me, kind of like this, and we're going to do a wellness assessment and then a little workout together.
Awesome. This is exciting.
Yes, I'm excited.
I'm so happy that you could spend time with us, Sarah, and I'm so happy that all of you spent some time with us today as well. And Sarah, until next time.
Yes, thank you, Darrell.
Everyone have a wonderful afternoon or morning or whatever it is, wherever you are, because, you know, I don't know who's watching this from anywhere in the world. So bless you all. Everyone, wasn't that so good? Hey, listen, her bonus session is called Children and Destructive Patterns. So she's going to be a mom very soon, but she's not a parent yet. So when we talk about children and destructive patterns in the bonus section, she's talking from her perspective as a child. Very, very interesting. Again, if you are an All Access Pass member, you'll have access to that as well as all of the sessions for lifetime. Watch them whenever you like. So we're just running the picker here, the draw picker, and let me see here. Oh, okay. I'm just typing it out. Here we go. Hit enter. Congratulations, Abigail Meyer. You have just won the 30-minute wellness assessment with Sarah Ross. We will be in contact with you in the next 24 hours or so, so you can connect with her and get on that wellness assessment. Isn't that amazing? Hey, everyone, thank you so much for spending time with us again. I'm really, really enjoying this. Are you enjoying this? Let us know in the chat. So many great nuggets of information we're getting from all of our speakers. Little things that, you know, we can take and say, oh, I can use that. I can use this. I'll implement that. And it all helps each of our journeys be a little better. Yes, Shannon says, congratulations, Abigail. Awesome. Hey, our next speaker comes up, and he's known as Uncle Kedric, and he is from Atlanta, Georgia, and he has lost 245 pounds. Now, I love this guy. Following him on Instagram, oh my goodness, he's so much fun, but he's very real. He is the real deal. And so I'm hoping Kedric will drop in on the chat with his session. He's just telling me on Instagram he's going to try and log in. So, hey, if you see Kedric on there, say hi to him. And so we're going to play his session. Again, it is called When You Change Your Mindset, You Change the Game. So true. Here we go. Hey everyone, I am so happy to have Kedric Barrett on the program today. Now, everyone knows Kedric as their favorite uncle. That would be Uncle Ked. And for decades, his mindset was to live and eat without any regard to health. And his health spiraled out of control until his weight ballooned up to 460 pounds, at which point he found himself in a life or death situation. And after making some tough decisions, Kedric lost 245 pounds. Now, isn't that amazing? Now, I'm super excited, Kedric, that you're here to join us today. And I've been following you on Instagram. Man, I love your stuff. You're inspiring. My wife loves it. And I just watched you recently on a video podcast on the Bariatric Nation. Wow. You had my attention the whole time. I think that was like a whole hour, right? Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, folks, Kedric is the real deal, and I'm super happy to have him on the program today. Now, Kedric, both you and I, remember I said sometimes in my tangle it gets tangled up and I started back and talkwards? Anyway.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, listen, we've got some similarities. We both had some significant weight loss. And when you told me that your title would be, I resonated with it like unbelievable. Okay? And so everyone, Kedric's title is When You Change Your Mindset, You Change the Game. That has been so spot on for me. Now, the first thing I think we need to do is find out who is Kedric. So tell us, who is Kedric? Dying to know.
Kedric is, wow, I'm 47 years old, and it's been a long time coming. I started out, I just an average kid, man. I didn't have that sob story. A lot of people have asked a lot, well, Ked, what happened? What caused you to get to be 461 pounds? Nothing happened. I love food. I mean, I just have an affinity for different flavors of food, and it just overindulgence and losing control got me to that situation. So nothing bad happened. I mean, I had a great childhood. I'm a married father of 3 sons. I have a 24, a 20-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And we're almost close to being empty nesters. Our 18-year-old is a senior in high school. So, hey, it's mom and dad time now. So that's where we are with that. And I had weight loss surgery April 26th of 2019. And that was a defining moment for me. And I consider it a rebirth.
Right.
Because I felt like I was given a second chance at life. And I said, if I, and I prayed going into the surgery. And I asked God, I said, if you let me survive this surgery, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later as to why I felt like I wouldn't survive it, that I would try to help somebody else.
Right.
So they wouldn't have to go all the way down the road that I went down, because I went way too far out of the way down that road. And if we could stop people and detour them, get them back on course, because people get lost. And, as men, sometimes we get ornery when we get lost. We know that different streets will connect at certain points. So sometimes we let that pride take over. We're going to go 20, 30 miles out the way.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And we wait till it's too late, right?
Absolutely. We waited until it's too late, almost too late. And so that's where I was. I mean, I was 461 pounds. And life was just going. I was at a point to where I like to say I was living to eat instead of eating to live. I mean, we know there's a difference between the two, because, of course, if you don't eat, after a certain amount of time, your body shuts down and you can perish. Yeah. But then on the flip side of that, you just living to eat, then that means you're overindulging. And that's the part that I was on. And when I had the surgery, little did I know how my life was going to be impacted, not only myself and my family's life, but being able to help other people now almost 3 years later. And it's been crazy, Darrell. I mean, definitely fun, man. Crazy and fun, to say the least.
Yeah, totally. So your title, When You Change Our Mindset, You Change the Game. That started obviously before your surgery, right?
Absolutely. Because my mindset was such, I was pig-headed. I didn't listen. Every time I went to the doctor, and I'm a regular. Now that's the crazy part about it. Now I am very regular with going to see my doctor, because I wanted to know where I was health-wise. And this is why I say this, because every time I would go to the doctor, my weight was going up. And she would always say, Kedric, you got to do something, because you're spiraling out of control. You're going to be here long. And she was constantly adding medicines and stuff like that. But I felt like, okay, well, they didn't put me in the hospital. I walked out of here. There's time.
Yeah, totally. My doctor told me at one point, he said, well, what do you like to do? I says, well, I like to bike. He says, well, why don't you buy a bike? So I did. I went out and bought a 1996 Kawasaki Vulcan 1100cc.
Not the kind of bike that he thought.
Seriously, I did that. And he said, no, not that kind of bike.
Yeah, right.
But sometimes we don't take it seriously when we need to, right?
No, and I didn't take it seriously, Darrell. And I just felt like, I can get to it. I'm okay. I was feeling fine. I was a person that was mobile. So it's not like my mobility was shot. It was just I had I started to get more and more underlying health conditions.
Right.
And that's where I was starting to spiral out of control. And it had gotten so bad to where I was pre-diabetic, hypertension, gout, acid reflux, sciatic nerve damage, knees and stuff were shot. You name it. And I was sleep apnea. I was on a CPAP machine. Had been on CPAP machine for 15 years.
Yep, 20 plus years for me.
Just on a roller coaster to an early death. Mm-hmm. I was just riding the waves. And that's where I was. And it had gotten to a point to where my mindset came into play. When I said changing my mindset, when I got to the point to where I was afraid to go to bed at night because I was afraid I wouldn't wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
That was my wake-up call. That was when my mindset started to change, and I started to consider weight loss surgery because my primary care physician had been on me about 8 years there, believe it or not, to try. Matter of fact, she had been on me so long, she was trying to get me to do the lap band when that was popular.
Right. Did you try any other diets before?
Oh, yeah. I tried it all, man. I went to Weight Watchers, Slim Fast, which, ended up being Slim Slow, as the comedian said. None of that worked, It just, because here's what comes into play. If you're not educated enough on how you're supposed to be eating to begin with, and this is for anybody that goes to any of these programs, whether it's Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, or if you try it on your own, if you don't properly get the education and the knowledge that a dietitian can give you, then, some people might make it out, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to fail at this because you're going to feel like you're starving yourself. You can't eat, and eventually you're going to give way to your cravings and your desires, and you're going to be right back where you started.
Yeah.
And that's why
some people have adverse effects to things. Like, example, in the first 2 chapters of my book, I talk about my best friend, and him and I decided to do Atkins, and this is like 1994. Hey, I lost 60 pounds, and all he got out of it was a basketball-sized knee because he got gout so bad he had to go to the hospital and get it drained 3 times. So what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other.
Right, because the body reacts to things differently, and when you think about certain diets, especially with like keto and stuff that's going to put you into ketosis and stuff like that, anything that's going to, you're going to be indulging in certain things, and the body can't process a lot of that stuff, and it's going to bring on stuff like gout and, God forbid, any other things that, and for somebody like you, it might not. You lost 60 pounds out of the deal.
Yeah. Hey, I did Herbalife and lost 80 pounds. And then, of course, it wasn't sustainable because we were traveling around doing, clean water projects because we have a charity. And it was just too hard to get product wherever we went. And so guess what? I ended up gaining the weight back. And then about 10 years ago, I said to my wife, it worked for me then. I'm going to do it again. I did the exact same formula and I lost nothing. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong here? And then somebody enlightened me and said, dude, you're not 40 anymore. And I'm like, light goes on. I'm going, oh, you mean age has something to do with this? Well, yeah, it does, right? Our metabolism's changed. There's so much, right?
Absolutely. And I think that in the process of trying to get yourself on track, like with me, for example, the last straw for me before I hit rock bottom, I'd started going to this boot camp. And it worked wonders. I lost 60 pounds and started a new job and wasn't able to go and commit like I used to. And I gained it all back plus about 30 more pounds. And this was, this was going into the summer of 2018. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give. I'm very uncomfortable with everything, sitting in my car. I got the seat all the way back as far as it can go. Anybody that sits behind me, they're going to suffer. Just, dining out, just anything, man. It's just, so I'm suffering. I'm hot. I'm hot in the summertime, and on top of the comorbidities that's plaguing me, I'm like, something has got to give. And so that's when a buddy of mine who I work with was going through the process of having weight loss surgery, and I already knew about it. And I was just picking his brain to figure out why he was doing it. And we were about the same size. And he was just telling me, hey man, these are the benefits of it. And I did my research. Well, he said a key word that I had never done before in life, and that was research.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the beginning of me changing my mindset. So, and he recommended his doctor, but guess what? When I researched his doctor, I found some stuff that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And so
but you did your homework.
I did my homework. And so I ended up finding a place to go. And if you don't mind, I like to share. I went to Atlanta Bariatrics right here in the metro Atlanta area, Dr. Christopher Hart. Greatest bedside manner in the world for a doctor. He told me on my very first consult that he's like, you're afraid, right? I said, yeah, I am. He said, I can tell you, it's okay to be nervous. He said, but let me tell you something. I've done this enough. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to get you through the surgery, but you got the hard part afterwards. That's on you.
Yeah.
The work afterwards is on you. I'll get you through the surgery. Don't worry about that. You're going to come through that just fine. And he was right.
Yeah.
With everything. Surgery was great. I was at home before, I was at home within 3 hours. I didn't go overnight. But the hard part was yet to come. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I always tell people, and this is why we try to educate people now, because you want people to know that take this seriously. You're about to embark upon something, and people fall in love with the results when they should be falling in love with the process. They see me now, they see you now, Darrell, and they say, oh, I can't wait till I get to that point. But what did it take for me, and what did it take for Darrell to get to this point?
Hey everybody, am I back live? Or are we still slightly frozen? Are we back? Okay, can everyone see me? Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna start to restream Kedric. Hopefully we will be back at the same moment in time. Okay, bear with me. Thank you for your patience. Okay, we're gonna reshare this video. Hey everyone, I am so happy to have Kedric Barrett on the program today. Now, everyone knows Kedric. Okay, just hold on everybody. I have to do something different here. I'm not sure why that froze up.
Try to educate people.
And they don't want to be educated about it.
Ground zero.
Okay, so I'm going to share a different way here, so just hold on a moment. Okay. Who have had weight loss surgery that have gained it. There, can everyone see that? Okay, I'm back for a moment. I am so sorry, everyone. I am not sure why that is happening. Oh my goodness. Just check the video. There's nothing wrong with the video. Are you all okay if we start this again? Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna try this again right from the beginning. I apologize, everybody, for that. But it's well worth it. Hey everyone, I am so happy to have Kedric Barrett on the program today. Now, everyone knows Kedric as their favorite uncle. That would be Uncle Ked. And for decades, his mindset was to live and eat without any regard to health. And his health spiraled out of control until his weight ballooned up to 460 pounds, at which point he found himself in a life or death situation. And after making some tough decisions, Kedric lost 245 pounds. Now, isn't that amazing? Now, I'm super excited, Kedric, that you're here to join us today. And I've been following you on Instagram. Man, I love your stuff. You're inspiring. My wife loves it. And I just watched you recently on a video podcast on the Bariatric Nation. Wow, you had my attention the whole time. I think that was like a whole hour, right? Anyway,
Oh yeah.
hey folks, Kedric is the real deal, and I'm super happy to have him on the program today. Now, Kedric, both you and I, remember I said sometimes in my tangle gets tangled up, and I started back and talkwards. Anyway.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, listen. We've got some similarities. We both had some significant weight loss. And when you told me that your title would be, I resonated with it like unbelievable. Okay? And so everyone, Kedric's title is, when you change your mindset, you change the game. That has been so spot on for me. Now, the first thing I think we need to do is find out, who is Kedric? So tell us, who is Kedric? Dying to know.
Kedric is, wow, I'm 47 years old, and it's been a long time coming. I started out, I just an average kid, man. I didn't have that sob story. A lot of people have asked a lot, well, Ked, what happened? What caused you to get to be 461 pounds? Nothing happened. I love food. I mean, I just have an affinity for different flavors of food, and it just overindulgence and losing control got me to that situation. So nothing bad happened. I mean, I had a great childhood. I'm a married father of 3 sons. I have a 24, a 20-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And we're almost close to being empty nesters. Our 18-year-old is a senior in high school. So, hey, it's mom and dad time now. So that's where we are with that. And I had weight loss surgery April 26th of 2019. And that was a defining moment for me. And I consider it a rebirth.
Right.
Because I felt like I was given a second chance at life. And I said, if I, and I prayed going into the surgery. And I asked God, I said, if you let me survive this surgery, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later as to why I felt like I wouldn't survive it, that I would try to help somebody else.
Right.
So they wouldn't have to go all the way down the road that I went down, because I went way too far out of the way down that road. And if we could stop people and detour them, get them back on course, because people get lost. And, as men, sometimes we get ornery when we get lost. We know that different streets will connect at certain points. So sometimes we let that pride take over. We're going to go 20, 30 miles out the way.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And we wait till it's too late, right?
Absolutely. We wait until it's too late, almost too late. And so that's where I was. I mean, I was 461 pounds. And life was just going. I was at a point to where I like to say I was living to eat. instead of eating to live. I mean, and we know there's a difference between the two because, of course, if you don't eat after a certain amount of time, your body shuts down and you can perish.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, you just living to eat, then that means you're overindulging, and that's the part that I was on. And when I had the surgery, little did I know how my life was going to be impacted, not only myself and my family's life, but being able to help other people now almost 3 years later. And it's been crazy, Darrell. I mean, definitely fun, man. Crazy and fun, to say the least.
Yeah, totally. So your title, when you change our mindset, you change the game. That started obviously before your surgery, right?
Absolutely. Because my mindset was such, I was pig-headed. I didn't listen. Every time I went to the doctor, and I'm a regular. Now that's the crazy part about it. Now I am very regular with going to see my doctor because I wanted to know where I was health-wise. And this is why I say this, because every time I would go to the doctor, my weight was going up. And she would always say, Kedric, you got to do something because you're spiraling out of control. You're going to be here long. And she was constantly adding medicines and stuff like that. But I felt like, okay, well, they didn't put me in the hospital. I walked out of here. There's time.
Yeah, totally. You know, my doctor told me at one point, he said, well, what do you like to do? I says, well, I like to bike. He says, well, why don't you buy a bike? So I did. I went out and bought a 1996 Kawasaki Vulcan 1100cc.
Not the kind of bike that he thought.
Seriously, I did that. And he said, no, not that kind of bike.
Yeah, right.
But sometimes we don't take it seriously when we need to, right?
No, and I didn't take it seriously, Darrell. And I just felt like, I can get to it. You know, I'm okay. I was feeling fine. I was a person that was mobile. So it's not like my mobility was shot. It was just I started to get more and more underlying health conditions.
Right.
And that's where I was starting to spiral out of control. And it had gotten so bad to where I was pre-diabetic, hypertension, gout, acid reflux, sciatic nerve damage, knees and stuff were shot. You name it. And
sleep apnea?
Sleep apnea. I was on CPAP. So been on CPAP machine for 15 years.
Yep, 20 plus years for me.
You know, just on a roller coaster to an early death. Mm-hmm. I was just riding the waves. And that's where I was. And it had gotten to a point to where my mindset came into play. When I said changing my mindset, when I got to the point to where I was afraid to go to bed at night because I was afraid I wouldn't wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
That was my wake-up call. That was when my mindset started to change, and I started to consider weight loss surgery because my primary care physician had been on me about 8 years there, I believe it or not, to try. Matter of fact, she had been on me so long, she was trying to get me to do the lap band when that was popular.
Right. Did you try any other diets before?
Oh, yeah. I tried it all, man. I went to Weight Watchers. Slim Fast, which ended up being Slim Slow, as the comedian said. None of that worked, It just because here's what comes into play. If you're not educated enough on how you're supposed to be eating to begin with, and this is for anybody that goes to any of these programs, whether it's Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, or if you try it on your own. If you don't properly get the education and the knowledge that a dietitian can give you, then, I mean, some people might make it out, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to fail at this because you're going to feel like you're starving yourself. You can't eat, and eventually you're going to give way to your cravings and your desires, and you're going to be right back where you started.
Yeah.
And that's why
some people have adverse effects to things. Like, example, in the first 2 chapters of my book, I talk about my best friend. And him and I decided to do Atkins, and this is like 1994. Hey, I lost 60 pounds, and all he got out of it was a basketball-sized knee because he got gout so bad he had to go to the hospital and get it drained 3 times. So what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other.
Right, because the body reacts to things differently, and when you think about certain diets, especially with like keto and stuff that's going to put you into ketosis and stuff like that. Anything that's going to you're going to be indulging in certain things, and the body can't process a lot of that stuff, and it's going to bring on stuff like gout, and God forbid, any other things that and for somebody like you, it might not. You lost 60 pounds out of the deal.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I did Herbalife and lost 80 pounds. And then, of course, it wasn't sustainable because we were traveling around doing, clean water projects because we have a charity. And it was just too hard to get product wherever we went. And so guess what? I ended up gaining the weight back. And then about 10 years ago, I said to my wife, you know what? It worked for me then. I'm going to do it again. I did the exact same formula and I lost nothing. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong here? And then somebody enlightened me and said, dude, you're not 40 anymore. And I'm like, light goes on. I'm going, oh, you mean age has something to do with this? Well, yeah, it does, right? Our metabolism's changed. I mean, there's so much, right?
Absolutely. And I think that in the process of trying to get yourself on track, like with me, for example, the last straw for me before I hit rock bottom, I'd started going to this boot camp. And it worked wonders. I lost 60 pounds and started a new job and wasn't able to go and commit like I used to. And I gained it all back plus about 30 more pounds. And this was, this was going into the summer of 2018. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give. I'm very uncomfortable with everything, sitting in my car. I got the seat all the way back as far as it can go. Anybody that sits behind me, they're going to suffer. Just dining out, just anything, man. It's just so I'm suffering. I'm hot. I'm hot in the summertime. And on top of the comorbidities that's plaguing me, I'm like, something has got to give. And so that's when a buddy of mine who I work with was going through the process of having weight loss surgery, and I already knew about it. And I was just picking his brain to figure out why he was doing it. And we were about the same size. And he was just telling me, hey, man, these are the benefits of it. And I did my research. Well, he said a key word that I had never done before in life, and that was research.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the beginning of me changing my mindset. So he recommended his doctor, but guess what? When I researched his doctor, I found some stuff that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And so
but you did your homework.
I did my homework. And so I ended up finding a place to go. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share. I went to Atlanta Bariatrics right here in the metro Atlanta area, Dr. Christopher Hart. Greatest bedside manner in the world for a doctor. He told me on my very first consult that he's like, you're afraid, right? I said, yeah, I am. He said, I can tell you, it's okay to be nervous. He said, but let me tell you something. I've done this enough. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to get you through the surgery, but you got the hard part afterwards. That's on you.
Yeah.
The work afterwards is on you. I'll get you through the surgery. Don't worry about that. You're going to come through that just fine. And he was right.
Yeah.
With everything. Surgery was great. I was at home before, I was at home within 3 hours. I didn't go overnight. But the hard part was yet to come. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I always tell people, and this is why we try to educate people now, because you want people to know that take this seriously. You're about to embark upon something, and people fall in love with the results when they should be falling in love with the process. They see me now, they see you now, Darrell, and they say, oh, I can't wait till I get to that point. But what did it take for me, and what did it take for Darrell to get to this point?
It is not the silver bullet.
No.
Everybody has this preconceived idea. And hey, I've gotten the stinky eye from people.
Oh, yeah.
I've since told people, hey, you're going to have to wait till my book's out because I'm not telling you anything else. I mean, but it's not that I'm not proud of it. It's just I think so many people are uneducated about it and they don't want to be educated about it. And let's face it, there are people who have had weight loss surgery that have gained a significant amount of weight back. But it makes me think, did they really change their mindset? Did they really change the game? I don't think they did, because it is no walk in the park. It's a lot of hard work. And trust me, once your metabolism restarts, hey, you're back to ground zero in terms of maintenance. It's no different than when you were 461 pounds or when I was 400 pounds. I have to maintain. I have to be careful. It's
right. It's
know,
hard.
Yeah.
I think the maintenance phase, Darrell, is tougher than losing the weight. I mean, that's the hardest part of it. I mean, seriously, because like you said, the metabolism, you're back to ground zero, and it's no holds barred, and you could easily, it's a slippery slope.
Yep, it is. It is. Absolutely. Wow. Man, we're preaching to the choir. Absolutely.
Yes,
And,
we are.
and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have folks on like yourself who have gone through this process. You know what? Weight loss surgery to me is not for everyone.
No.
But when I talked to medical doctors and they were talking about people who have the disease of obesity, the disease, in other words, it's not, it's out of your control. And I think people who are extremely obese, who are literally this close to the end of their life if they don't do something,
right?
Sometimes they don't have another choice. That is their choice if they can do it, right? If they can afford it, or whatever means they can do it. Personally, as a coach, I want to support anyone, no matter what their journey is. But I ask them, please keep an open mind.
Yes.
Because as we get older, things change. Our bodies change, right? If you don't get it in the up now, next thing you know, diabetes and all these other things are going to come on. And will you be able to reverse them? I don't know. Like in your case, you reversed diabetes, right?
Yes. Thank God, man. Oh my.
Isn't that amazing?
And I think that was the end game for me.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of something for me, because when my doctor was like, okay, your A1C levels are here and you're pre-diabetic, so we've got to do something now. And now we're putting you on this medicine and this metformin, and the light clicked on, and I was like, you're going to graduate to insulin, full-blown insulin,
yeah,
in a year or so if you don't make the necessary changes. And sure enough, I didn't even change then. I started out with a low dosage, about 250 milligrams.
Yeah.
It took me getting up to 750 milligrams of metformin to finally say, okay, enough is enough. Let's change this. I had the surgery. 3 months later, A1C level plummeted. And I was, within normal range. And I was so happy because I have so many family members that suffer from diabetes. Some have died, but some have lost limbs, eyesight.
I have a friend that's getting part of his leg amputated today. Yeah.
See,
it's sad.
It's very sad what it does to the body. And I just think that if we could help somebody, to not even make it down this road.
Absolutely.
And you said something about people that need to get weight loss surgery. And I know a lot of people frown upon it, but you got to think, when people are in life or death situations, a person like myself, a person like you, Darrell, I didn't have time to go and start a diet and, the normal way that people say, I like to say the normal way, where you're 1 to 2 pounds a week, you lose. That's the healthy way. I didn't have time for that.
Yeah.
I needed to lose a rapid amount of weight.
Yeah.
With this tool that was given when I had the surgery.
That's what it is, a tool.
It was a tool, and it helped me get into a healthier state so that I could live. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. I'm going back to mindset for a moment here, because when I decided that I'm making a change, I didn't know I had a surgery date. Matter of fact, I thought that boat had come and gone because it had been since 2003. And so some things happened, which I'll explain later on in the Transformation Summit about my story. But when that light turned on, that mindset changed, that was it. So I started intermittent fasting, and I lost 60 pounds right away. And then I got a phone call to come and be part of an orientation. And what was interesting was, out of all the people that were there was probably 25 or so people there. hey, and I was not the smallest guy. I mean, the biggest guy. Sorry, I wasn't the biggest guy. I was like, whoa. And so they were talking about, okay, in order to do this, there were some requirements. You had to stop smoking, you had to stop drinking alcohol, and you had to stop drinking soda pop. Cedric, there were people that left that orientation because they were not willing to give up those things.
Wow.
Yeah. I was shocked. I'm like, my goodness, these people are closer to the edge than I am. But obviously, that mindset wasn't there yet for them. You know,
No.
I really hope and pray that those people have come to their senses since then, because really the journey is worth it. Trust me, folks, the journey is worth it.
The journey is definitely worth it. It's fulfilling. It's tough.
It's
Like my
tough.
dad used to tell me, it's hard, but it's fair.
Yeah.
But it's definitely fulfilling. It pulls on your heartstrings, because I think that to watch yourself and to where you started at, and then as you go along the journey, and then when you get to where we are in the maintenance phase, and you can reflect on how you got here now,
Yes.
it's mind blowing. It's definitely mind blowing, and it tells me that I could do it. But I think that I'm a person that believes in things that they happen when they're supposed to happen.
Right. Right.
I failed a lot so that I could succeed today
Mm-hmm.
and be able to help somebody else, because it didn't stop with that, Darrell. And I'm sure if you've been following, my journey, you saw that. And this is why it's so important for us to help other people, because if you could cut off some things because having weight loss surgery, it doesn't absolve you or give you complete absolution from things that could be hidden health wise that could come out later on in life.
Absolutely.
Point in case, November I go for my routine physical. I'm feeling fine. I'm fit. I'm 218 pounds. I'm bouncing into the doctor's office. I go in for my physical. They do an EKG, and she's like, "Hey, Kedric, something's going on with your heart. I need to send you. I want you to go and do this heart calcification test.
Right.
And let's go from there." So I go and I get they send my numbers back, and she red flags emails me. She's like, "Kedric, hey, that score was a 506. That's extremely high. We've got to get you over to a cardiologist." So I'm like, okay, so she knows how I am. I'm like, "Doc, lay it on me. What does that mean?" She's like, "Well, I'm afraid to tell you. It looks like early onset heart disease." I'm like, "Oh, we're not claiming nothing. I'm paranoid because I'm a heavy worrier." So she sets me up with a cardiologist who's actually her friend. They're colleagues and they're friends. So I'm in good hands. I go over to the cardiologist. They do a nuclear stress test, an echocardiogram. I go back for those results, and he's like, "Well, the stress test didn't really take good. It came back abnormal." I was like, "What?" He was like, "So you're not having any chest pains or anything like that. You lost the weight. We could either wait 3 months or so and we can revisit it, or we could do a heart catheterization, and that'll tell us everything. That we can go in, through the artery. It's it's an extreme type of test, but we can see where blockage is and know what we need to do." I said, "You know what? Let's do it, because I don't want to wait. I don't want to waste any time. I don't want to, lay around and then next thing you know, I'd had a heart attack and I could have prevented it. So let's get it done." So just last week, I had my heart cath lab done, and thank God that the blockage was minimal. The plaque that I had, it could be treated medicinally, and I've been taking cholesterol medicine. My cholesterol was down and low enough, so I could actually reverse some of the plaque buildup. But that's just to say, though, that could have went way differently. Say I was still 461 pounds there.
Oh yeah.
We'd be having a different story. We'd be having a different end game to this story right now. I know this.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you know what? Really, it comes down to quality of life, doesn't it? Because, hey, there are people that they look amazing, right? They're fit and everything. Next thing you know, they drop dead of a heart attack or cancer. I mean, there's a lot of things that take out people besides obesity. But one thing that I've noticed is, man, my quality of life now is
way different.
So different. And if all I did was extend my life an extra couple of years, And I'm good with that.
Right. Absolutely. Because those are years that you didn't have, that you took away from yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Being overweight.
Yeah. I was talking to one of the other speakers, and we were talking about how, specifically women mostly, how they are so focused on the family that they neglect themselves to the point of detriment to their own health, right? And the reality is we have family that they want us to be around a long time.
Yes.
So at what point do we start taking our own health seriously and going, okay, now's the time to make a difference, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, we're running out of time here. I think we can go into a bonus session, but what would be the first step for someone that's watching right now in terms of changing their mindset? What would that look like to you?
First step, you've got to find out your why.
Yeah.
What and in finding out your why, that's going to include what do you have to live for.
Yeah.
And that could be, you got wife, husband, spouse, partner, kids, family, siblings, people that are depending on you.
Absolutely, man. I'm so excited you said that, because I'm going to be talking in the summit here about touching base with your superpower, bringing out your superpower, and a huge part of that is discovering your why. But sometimes your why isn't enough,
right?
And I'll tell you why. I'll say this again when I talk a little later in the Transformation Summit.
Yeah.
Is I had several times in my life, like for instance in our charity, I have a story about a little girl named Christian Joy who was 4.5 years old, and she was very ill, and some missionary friends of ours, they're Americans, the family brought her to them because they didn't know what to do. If you don't have money, you have no medication, can't go to the hospital. So they took her to the hospital and they administered some medication, and overnight she vomited 4 pounds of worms. Her body weight was reduced to 18 pounds. Now the family were very happy and grateful because now she's getting medical care. So the next morning our friends went there to visit them, and they had left for lunch, and around lunchtime or so, the little girl had absolutely no energy, but she summoned her mom to come by her bedside. And she whispered in her mom's ear. She said, "Mama, I'm going to go for a walk in a very far place." And minutes later, she died in her mother's arms. As my friend said, the gates of heaven opened, and this little one just was ushered into the presence of the Lord. I sat there and I wept, and I said, why does this happen in today's world?
Right.
That was 2010, and back then they said 9 busloads of children, of kindergarten children, die every day because of bad water. You know what? It really hasn't changed a whole lot. Now it's 2022. So that little girl became my why. But even though she was my why in terms of our charity, and she's still my why to want to help kids, right? Every child deserves clean water. But here I was getting heavier and heavier, being more challenged to get in and out of the field. But I didn't make the change. And then other things happened, but it was a culmination of different things. And then I'll get to it in my story later on in the summit, where these things all collided together, and it was like, pow, bang. My mindset was like changed. And this is before weight loss surgery. So at that point, had I not gotten weight loss surgery, I would have still been on this journey. It would have taken me longer, absolutely. But I am grateful for weight loss because I've learned a lot in terms of being paired with a dietitian, nutritionalist. And you know what? I want to talk a little more about that in a breakout session with you. Okay. But right now, so all of the people that are watching this, if they want to get a hold of you or follow you, what's the best way that they can do that, Kedric?
Oh, absolutely. Most people follow me on Instagram. I'm on there at Sleeved Believe the Hype, all one word. And I say that because there used to be a song that said, don't believe the hype. But in my case, I want you to believe all the hype. So it's Sleeved Believe
That's awesome.
And that's where that comes from. I want because people they look at us and they're like, oh no, that's not real. That didn't happen, or they're lying somewhere. No, this is real life.
Yeah.
You can do it too, and
Yeah.
that's where you can find me at there. You can find me also. I host the Sleep Believe the Hype podcast. And it's a podcast dedicated to weight loss surgery. I have a guest on every episode, whether it's a dietitian or somebody from the weight loss community. We discuss the journey, just talk about all the ups and downs and what we go through on our journey. So that is on all major streaming platforms, be it Spotify, Apple, wherever you get
Excellent.
your podcast fix. You can find
Excellent.
it there. Yeah,
Perfect.
that's where.
We'll drop it in the chat so that people can see that. And anyone that has the All Access Pass, of course, you'll get all the links in the membership section. Anyways, Kedric, this has been a wonderful time. It's been great meeting you and following you for sure, because you are definitely the real deal. And I know everyone likes that. They like real people, right? Talking
Absolutely.
about real stories and real issues and support, right? Because we can't do this without a great support system. That's
No.
my experience. I'm sure it's yours as well.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest thing. And when you do change your mindset, you definitely change the game. And I like to relate that to sports, because sometimes teams go in at halftime and they're down, and they probably down on themselves. But if they got a good coach and he gets inside that mind there,
Yeah.
and everybody's mindset changes and they're on the same page, guess what? Then that's when the game changes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
games are won in the fourth quarter defense.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got a hockey team up here called the Canucks.
Oh yeah.
And just recently they let go the manager and the coaches and brought on an older coach. He's 67 years old, but he's like an icon in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
When he came on, bang, they won like 6 in a row.
See,
Just
that's it.
isn't that something?
That's it. And
Yeah.
that's how you got to look at it. You got to take that approach, and it all starts with education. I think,
does.
And
Yeah.
that's the main key to everything. And my last 2 points is everything works well, and this is in life in general, with balance and moderation.
Yes.
That's anything that you do.
Exactly. Well, listen, Kedric, thank you for your time, and I'm sure we will stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone, and follow Kedric online. Hey, everyone. That was awesome. I love my time with Kedric. He is an amazing guy. He's the real deal, Uncle Kedric. And of course, you can follow him on Instagram. He's got podcasts. Hey, I love following him. I mean, some of the posts he puts up, you got to laugh. I mean, it's like I say, if you can't have fun, you might as well go home. And I see humor in Kedric all the time, the things he posts, and he's the real deal. Lost 245 pounds. I lost 200. So you rock, Kedric. Thank you so much for joining us, Kedric. Really appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for your patience. Hey, this is the internet. When it locked up on my screen, which I use Streamlabs Melon, and there's nothing I could do. I can't even scrub forward in the video or backwards. It just has to play. I did try to screenshot my player, but unfortunately the sound wasn't going to work. So anyway, the next 2 sessions I've backed up on YouTube just in case we do have a problem again. Sorry about that, Kedric. Anyways, hey, Kedric, I sent you the YouTube link, so you can always share that with your friends. So the next speaker we have, I don't want to delay anything because we've already been delayed a lot, is Arelis Latorella, and she's going to talk to us about mindset, culture, and connection, life and before and after. Now, folks, she will be the 3rd person I have on the program that's had bariatric surgery. You're probably saying, why is he doing that? Is he promoting bariatric surgery? No, I'm not, because it's not for everyone, okay? But there are those people out there who are so morbidly obese that maybe it's the only option they have, because it'll take them too long to lose the weight they need to lose in order to get healthy enough, and they just might not make it. That's the truth. right? But hey, like I said earlier in the program with Kedric, I didn't know I was going to get surgery, but mindset already changed. I was doing it, period. I started intermittent fasting, lost 60 pounds. And then when they gave me the call and I went for an orientation, they were absolutely amazed because my mindset had already changed, lost all the weight, been tracking my food. I mean, I was in the journey, regardless to whether I had surgery or not. But I did get surgery, and I'm grateful I did. And I do it again because it allowed me to go from morbidly obese to reach my goal weight and go below it, all within a short period of time, in a safe period of time in terms of, being observed by the medical system, having a nutritionalist, all that kind of stuff. Hey, listen, I've never felt better, both emotionally and physically in my whole life. But ever since my metabolism reset, I'm back to the same battle of the balls, just like before. So it's up and down, up and down, up and down. But I'm in for the journey because my mindset's been changed, and I'm going to be okay. And I know you can be okay too. So whatever you choose for your program or for your journey, I'm the guy that can be there to support you in it. Anyway, so let's move on here. So mindset, culture, and connection, life and before and after with Aurelius Lardner. And we are going to share that right now. Hey everyone, I am pleased to welcome Aurelius Lardner from Boston, Massachusetts, who has lost 120 pounds. Now she's a mom, a wife, and a caregiver to her parents, and as a first-generation Dominican American, culturally food is her life. Mainly rice and beans, and of course all those other delicious things. By the time Aurelius was in college, she had tried everything under the sun to lose weight, from gyms, boot camps, pills, Dominican home remedies, teas and powders, and weight loss programs ×7. Her journey has brought her to a new mindset, self-awareness, and amazing connections. And she wouldn't trade her journey for the world. Welcome, Aurelius.
Hi, Darrell. How are you?
I'm so happy you're with us.
Me too.
Now, today, you're going to talk a little bit about your journey, of course, and how it relates to mindset, culture, and connection. Very excited. I want to hear your story. I know a little bit about your story, but tell us some more.
Thank you so much for having me today, Darrell. Thank you for that awesome introduction. As you said, I am a mom, a caregiver, a friend, an employee. We have many roles. I am from Boston. I had weight loss surgery back in June of 2020, and this transformation through this journey has been one amazing ride. And so today I want to talk a little bit about the fact that my mindfulness, my culture, my connection have been three major, highlights of this journey to get me through the last 2 years. And so I hope to share a little bit about my story within those topics today.
Awesome. And you know what? I've been following you on Instagram, and your photos are like, wow.
Thank you.
I mean, we all like to see these before and after photos.
Yep.
You're inspiring. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, what I'm really interested to hear about first, if you don't mind, is culture.
Yes.
Because we've all got culture, and food is culture. It keeps us together. It binds us together. What does that mean to you? What did that look like?
I mean, as you had explained in my introduction, I am first generation Dominican. My mom migrated from Dominican Republic to here in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm an only child, so it was just me and her. And so she was definitely a hard worker, but always made sure that food was on the table. And so the rice, the beans, the platanos, just all of it, and including even outside our culture, we have family that are Guatemalans, Mexicans. So it expanded, not it just even within, and always how do I say the portions was huge. And so through my journey, realizing this now, we surrounded ourselves with food. And so now 40 something years later, I don't deprive myself. I did lose 120 pounds, but it wasn't depriving myself of anything within my culture. Awesome. I had to share with my family that I'm not going to stop eating our food, because I definitely don't want to deprive myself, but I'm definitely going to, within, how do I say, just within reason, within reason, without depriving.
Right. Because it's not an all or nothing thing.
Correct.
It's about still enjoying life and enjoying family. And, we have birthday parties and all these occasions that bind us together as culture and as family.
Yes.
And it's important to be a part of that and not be outside somewhere in the peripheral going, I wished I was.
Yes. But more included. I'm within. I'm included. I get my plate. I get a little bit of every tray.
Yeah.
And not feel isolated, but still included within. Yes.
Yeah. Because food is a big part of culture, right?
Yes. And I have a daughter, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and that's something that I still want to instill in her,
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So how did mindset come into all this? Because obviously you struggled for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, right into your college days, you tried everything under the sun.
Everything.
Nothing worked.
No.
What was that moment where all of a sudden, wow, I need to do something different?
Well, like you said earlier in my introduction, I did experience a few miscarriages. And so through college, I tried everything. I got married. We tried everything. And so once I had lost so many losses, and we did have one blessing. I have a beautiful daughter who's 9 years old. We were blessed with her. And then we continued trying again. And it was almost like defeated. I almost felt defeated. And I said, something switched to me and said, you know what, this is how it's supposed to be. Now it's my turn.
Right.
Now it's about myself.
Yeah.
And so through this journey, these last 2 years, I use my 4 selves: awareness, self-love, self-worth, and self-care.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so those are my 4 selves that I remind myself every single day to make sure.
And you know what? We all need that why in our life, whether it's our children, our grandchildren. And what I've found in talking to so many people is there's so many amazing mothers out there who literally sacrifice their life for their family by ignoring their own health and their own well-being.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But the thing is our kids and our grandchildren want us to be around for them.
Mm-hmm.
So by us looking at ourselves and saying, hey, we need to start taking care of ourselves.
Yes.
For me, but not just for me, I'm doing it for them too.
Right. And that's what I say. I need to be good so I can be good for you. If I'm not well and if I'm not doing good, there's no way I can be good for you.
Yeah.
I have to come first in order to be able to help you.
Yeah. But mindset isn't just a thing you turn on and
no,
it's there.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a process.
It's a process. Yes.
So how did that process start for you? What did that look like?
Oh, geez. Just identifying. I ask myself, and not every day, like you said, is easy. Every day is not easy. But I ask myself, how am I going to determine today? There are some tough days. There are some sad days. There are some anxious days. But I've learned that I decide how I'm going to move forward each day with those feelings and identifying.
Yeah.
And so there are days that I sit in my feelings. I use that phrase a lot. Sit in your feelings, process, identify, and then choose how you want to move forward for the day.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, I've lost 200 pounds.
Yes.
And I like what you say because, hey, there's days I sit in my feelings too. I hate to say it, but it's true.
It's true.
Right?
But when you get over that hump, Darrell, it's such a relief. It's growth. I call it growth when you get that aha moment or that sense of relief of like, today's going to be a good day. It's because you did that growth yesterday.
Exactly. And I'm sure your whole family are so happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Your husband, your daughter.
Oh, my daughter's
Wow.
very proud, very, very proud.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So you did mention also connection.
Yes.
What does that look like to you?
Well, I in the last 2 years, like I said, through my journey, knowing that this whole community existed,
Yeah.
and it was, everyone's on a different journey. So it was very eye-opening for me to see how large of a transformation journey community there was out here. And so
Yeah.
for me, I found motivation, support, inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, these are words I wasn't using, Darrell, before my transformation. I can honestly
Right.
say I was never using not any of those three words in my vocabulary.
Would you say that pre-college or
Yeah.
whenever you did all of these, these powders and teas and
Yes.
the
Yes.
myriad of weight loss solutions, did you basically do that or try to do that on your own for the most part
Yes.
without support?
Yes. I mean, sure, these, facilities that help you lose weight have of some sort of support, but nothing like now. Not what I've experienced now with support.
Yeah.
You go to the stores and buy these things, these teas and these pills, and these boot camps where people are yelling in your face, and that's what you thought was support. That's what I thought was support.
Right.
But
So what is support? What does it look like? I mean, we're talking good quality support.
right, good quality support. Yes. I mean, what I feel is support is when I reach out to people. I check in on people. I make, I ask. I've learned that asking someone, "How was your day today?" goes so far.
Right.
So far. At almost 42 years old, I'm learning that now. And so to me, when I give that out to people, I get that back in return. And to me, that is my support. So
that's
when I
amazing.
reach out and say, "Good job, you're doing great. How are you feeling today? How did
Yeah.
your day go today?" And then I get that back, it's like a cycle of support for me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that gets our, what's the word, endorphins?
Yeah.
Or it's like, I'm going to do this more.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I talk about that in terms of there's different ways of rewarding ourselves, and one thing that I do, and people hear it all the time, is I have MyFitnessPal on my phone. I've gamified putting my food in.
Yes.
So if I don't do it, it's like I don't get that rush of having done it. It's weird, but for me, it's been a big success because I can go back just over 3 years now and see exactly where I'm moving around, what the values of my food are and everything.
And how rewarding is that? It's so rewarding.
Exactly.
It is so
It is.
rewarding.
It is.
It-
And you just did this, right? I mean, MyFitnessPal
Darrell,
or
accountability. This goes under my connections. This is accountability. I connect with people. I do challenges with people. It's motivation.
it's motivation.
It keeps me accountable.
Yeah.
And it's not about winning and it's not about losing. It's we encourage each other. Ooh, you were so
Yeah.
fast today. I can't wait to. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And my goal isn't necessarily yours.
Right. Yeah.
Like when I started my journey, my nutritionist said, "Okay, I want you to start walking." I'm like, "Oh, really?" When you're like 400 pounds, all you want to hear about is walking to the fridge and back.
Mhm. Right.
Nothing more than that.
Right.
You want me to walk? Are you kidding? And of course, there's a lot of people out there that have, bad knees and hips and
Hmm.
right. But she said, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. She said, "How many steps did you do today? Do an extra 100 steps tomorrow, or not even that much, 50 steps."
Yep.
So then I'd set my watch. I'd go, okay, what's my goal today? And I've got an Apple, not an Apple, but it's a Samsung watch now. It doesn't do the same thing as my FitnessPal did, but
Right.
when I hit my goal, all of a sudden they go, bzzz, and you see it
Yes.
doing the,
And how
the
rewarding
fireworks.
is that? Yes.
It's like, oh, cool, yes, And then as I got more used to that, I'd up it a little,
Yep.
Now I'm at 6,000.
Now you're challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Works, folks. It works. It really does.
And consistency, Darrell. I mean, just hearing what you just said, as you see the process, you know what that is? Consistency, because you've started then and you're still going, and now you have all that history because you've been staying consistent.
So, question: when you're having that day of, what did you call it again?
In your feelings.
Exactly. Sitting in your feelings day. What do you do to motivate yourself to kind of kick yourself out of that, to get back on track? I mean, we all fall off the horse, but we got to get back on.
Yeah, one thing I've learned through this transformation is positive self-talk.
Right.
I really, at first I was like, what are you talking about? Trying to talk myself out of something. What is that? You know, and now, again, within the last almost 2 years, I have to pause. You have to pause and breathe. You need to really find words and evaluate your feelings and identify them. Am I mad? Am I sad? You know, get out of that space. You know, is today the day that you need to sit in that space? You know, I ask myself questions, and then of course just remember how far you've come. Like, small wins go a long way, and I did not know that. You know, everything always had to be extravagant. I lost 30 pounds on my pills for 3 months. You know, that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
Where today it's like, I got up, I already had my coffee, I had my lunch. You know, everyone's content. Everyone is off to work and school, and it's going to be a great day. You know, you have to believe your positive talk as well. Yeah. I use my vision board. I have a lot of phrases on my vision board. Yeah. And affirmations. There are so many apps. I know we talked about our watches. There's an app that connects to your watch. It reminds you as many times as you want, called I Am Affirmations. I set it for every 3 hours to send me an affirmation, and I pause wherever I am. Yep, wherever I am, I pause and I read it.
I don't even have that. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah. I Am Affirmations. Yeah.
I Am Affirmations. That is sweet.
So that's a few things that I use to kind of push myself on those days. And sometimes I do, Darrell, sit in them and I cry and it's a terrible day. You find your supports, but you get through it because the next day you reflect on the growth that you did yesterday for today.
Yeah. Exactly. Because the reality is I mean, you talked about having bariatric surgery.
Yeah.
I've connected with a lot of people who have. I've had that myself. And, you know, I'm almost 3 years post-op. And the reality is once you hit your sweet spot and your metabolism kicks in, you're back to the battle of the balls just like anyone else.
Yeah.
Right? It's only a tool to get you quicker to where you need to go, because some people, the alternative is death.
Yes.
Diabetes, whatever.
Yes.
That's not cool.
Mm-mm.
So it's not over, right? So Christmas time, I gained a bit. Oh my goodness. But I'm back down.
Good.
But then I checked the scale and I'm back up half a pound. And then it's life.
Yes.
Folks. I mean, it's the rest of our life.
Journey. Yes.
Exactly. So really it's about mindset. It's about building tools and a support system that works for you, because we're all different.
Yes. This is what works for me. Right. Yes. These are tools.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. I think also the power of community is you get to hang out with people that are in the same boat.
Yes.
Been there, done that.
Can relate.
They get to share what worked for them. They relate. Absolutely. They can share things that worked for them that you might go, you know what? Well, that didn't work, but you know, you just said something that I didn't know about. Like you were just talking about that affirmation thing. I didn't know about that till now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that unless I connect with people like you.
Right.
And so we all add to each other's lives.
We do.
And it's wonderful. So, you know what? I tell people, don't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
There's a community out there for you.
Yes.
That might not be my community, but it might be the community that you're in, or maybe some of our other speakers.
Right. And you decide how much you want to get involved. You know, you can decide, you choose how, because it's a world. It is a world within itself. But you get to choose how you want to be part of that. You don't have to get knee deep. You don't have to get neck deep. You could just put in your hand in a little, and just get exactly what you need, whether it's support,
Baby
motivation,
steps.
yes, baby steps, inspiration, tips, like you said. There's something for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Well, listen, we're close to the end of our session already. I can't believe it. Time flies.
I know.
It's been wonderful having you.
Oh, this has been so fun. So fun.
And I love your Instagram. I mean, you're posting stuff all the time. And for all of those folks out there that need some encouragement, I think you should go and follow her on Instagram. Yeah. So how can people follow you? Obviously your Instagram, right?
Yes, on my Instagram, which is Relly_on the loose, LOSE. I share my journey there, before and afters, just tips, just talking, saying hello, checking in on everyone and making sure everyone's having a great day. So yes, come and visit me, DM me if you have any questions and just want to chat. I'm always there. I'm always available.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You don't have to say, well, I don't have bariatric surgery, so I can't connect with you. That's ridiculous.
It's beyond that. It's beyond that.
Yeah. Again, that was just a tool to get you where you're at now. But hey, we're back in the same boat as everyone else.
Yes.
Trust me.
Yes. Every day. Yeah.
You need support. You need to hang out with people
Yes.
that have your back.
Yes.
Anyway, she has something special for everyone that attends the summit. It'll be a download. And there's a little glimpse of it behind your shoulder over there. So tell us a little bit about that.
So like I was sharing earlier, tools that I've used, that I continue to use just to get through sometimes just the day. I use the affirmation app like I had shared. I also make, this is my second year making a vision board. And so what I use on my vision board is just magazines, scissors, tape, glue, old school, like 8th grade supplies. I love
cool.
I love stickers, but just a few things that I have on there, just, keeping mindfulness, fitness, making sure you stop and breathe.
Right.
Remember the right now, feel what's in your gut, find gratitude to some things. I have a sticker that says, enjoy today.
Yeah.
Cool. Just remember to smile, meet your chill center. So these are things that I use every single day just to give me that little kick and decide and choose what type of day I'm going to have. And that's what's helped me through this journey.
That's great. So people can download that and see
I have a little picture of
what yours looks like.
Yes. I have a picture of mine. Yeah.
Then they can make their own.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again.
Thank
you. I know that everyone has enjoyed this as much as I have. It's been amazing. We need to stay connected, Ariel. And thank you once again for being with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Have a great day.
You too.
Hey, everyone. Meet your chill center. I love it. All these great tips. I love the vision board that she had over her shoulder there. And so we will be uploading that into the resource center later. Hey, listen, only registered people, registered attendees of the summit can receive that. So if you haven't registered already, no obligation. It's free to register. And I'll just quickly pop that in here. And when you register, and if you've already registered, you probably already have the link to the page. And I'll just show you the page real quick here. So this is what you'll see is the free resources. And you'll go down here, day one, you'll see each individual speaker, how you can get in contact with them. You can just click on it and it'll take you there. Yeah, amazing. So you will have access to that. Very cool. Again, also I want to alert you of, if you have the All Access Pass, which is only $39, you will have access to every single session and every single bonus session. Now, Aurelia's bonus session, we talk about her concerns about weight loss when she had so many miscarriages. So yeah, so you'll have access to that when you get the All Access Pass. It's only $39. So we are now at the last session of the day. Pretty excited about it. My discussion with Danya Douglas Hunt was an amazing one. You've heard us say in a few interviews already, we talk about dragons, invisible dragons. The whole concept for me was brought up back in probably early December when I attended Danya Hunt's session. And wow, anyways, we've all got dragons in our head. And so we're on time. I'm absolutely enamored about that. So, hey, everyone, you might want to take a real quick pee break here. I'm just going to pop over again to our charity screen. I just kind of want you to see that for a moment. Shannon and I founded this organization called Clean Water International. And we believe in every child's right to clean water. And we absolutely do. I'm excited about it. Shannon and I are going to be heading back to the Philippines on March the 8th for 4 months, where we will be going to monitor and see some of the projects that we've been doing recently in terms of the typhoon response. The Philippines was hit by typhoon last December, and so many exciting things. Oh my goodness. Anyways, you can just go to our website, cleanwaterinternational.org, and you can see what we're up to there. So, hey, thank you for giving me the moment to do that. And you've got a why too. And maybe you just need a little bit of time to discover that why, or you need to pair that why up with your values. Like for me, when my why met my values, bang, that's when I discovered my superpower. Anyways, I'll talk more about that later when my session comes up at the end of the conference or the summit, conference summit. Anyway, same thing. Listen, we are going to now play Danya Douglas Hunt's video on the invisible dragons. They're inner. So I did get that partially right. Anyways, so we are going to play that now. So, Danya Douglas Hunt. Hey everyone, I am super excited that Danya has joined us today. And I've been following her on Facebook. And last December, I participated in her Supercharged 2022 workshop, which was amazing. Now, Danya Douglas Hunt is a former Olympic athletic therapist and strength and conditioning coach turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, and her main focus is helping high-performance entrepreneurs master the inner game, build mental and emotional fortitude, and slay the invisible dragons, which are self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, and the list goes on. She's also a certified neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, a life and success coach, time techniques practitioner, clinical hypnotherapist, and an emotional freedom techniques facilitator. And Danya's also been featured on multiple platforms such as MSNBC, NBC, CBS, in various publications and every podcast platform. Now, when she's not coaching, she loves to adventure outside on the beach or in the mountains with her tea and her big dog named Tabata.
Tabata, very close.
Tabata.
It's a workout, so if we're in the fitness space, people will get it.
Awesome. I've seen your dog on Instagram. Anyway, some people might ask, why did I invite you on this program when your focus is high performance entrepreneurs? Well, it's a great question. And in my mind, Everyone needs transformation, whether it's personal or professional. And a lot of people that are watching this might be here for personal reasons, but you know what? It all kind of crosses over. So I think it's very, very applicable, right? So anyway, that's why. And I'm absolutely amazed at you, Danya. And I hope you don't mind me saying, and I mean this in all sincerity and as a compliment, but for someone so young, I found your insight into mindset mastery far beyond your years. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So kudos. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And now your topic, which is invisible dragons, I can't wait to dive into that, because these are the things that are holding people back, whether it's in business or in our personal lives.
Yeah.
Whether it's you need to lose some weight, right? You've got some other personal issues in your physical body or mentally, things that are holding you back. We need to get over those things. And so slaying invisible dragons, I think, is very applicable to what we need to talk about and address today. So
Totally.
Tell me more about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, and I'll give some. Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll give some context too. So the reason I call them invisible dragons is research shows, psychology shows that when we can disassociate ourselves from thinking it's you and it like this is who we are and how we think, when we can create a bit of space, it enables us to see something differently and have the space to create change. So I think everyone can think of or imagine an invisible dragon, right? And when we can see the invisible dragons like self-doubt or fear or just something is not us and who we are, but rather it's a part of us, but it's not us, it helps lessen the intensity and the hold of some of our thoughts that can seem very real and very heavy and very scary. So the whole reason I came up with the invisible dragons is just to help create some space and awareness. And really, I'll ask you, Darrell, and everyone who's watching here too, when we really think about creating change, and I like how you said, like, it doesn't matter who you are, what your goal is, we're always going to come up against these invisible dragons, right? Of self-doubt, of fear, of imposter syndrome, of, can I really do this? Do I have what it takes? I have a fear of failure, or you try something and it doesn't work out and you're like, see, I can't do this. We're all going to come up against this. And it doesn't matter if you're in the health space, the business space, any industry, you're going to be battling your mind. And your mindset, no matter what strategy you use, again, in any industry, your mindset is what's going to either make you and take you forward or be the thing that holds you back. So the reason I got so into mindset was I just kept seeing so many smart entrepreneurs, so many smart people and capable people who have huge hearts wanting to help anyone not do it simply because of their thoughts. And if we think about it, like, our thoughts are invisible. They're not a real thing. And so when we can personify it or turn it into a metaphor of like it's this dragon, it helps us again create space of like something that feels very real is literally not, it's invisible. It's not there. But it's the thing that's holding you back from your next level, from achieving your goal, from possibilities, income, impact. And that's why I'm so into this space, because when I was in the athletic space, working with Olympic athletes, everyone at that level, Darrell, has the best, for the most part, the best nutrition, the best, they have a whole team. I was doing the injuries, their strength conditioning, psychology, they had everything. When they're on that line competing, either to make an Olympic team or to compete at the Olympics, the one thing that truly separates them from everyone else, like everyone's the top 1% fitness, is their mindset. How well can you manage your mind around the pressures? How well can you bounce back from injury? How well can you trust yourself? It is managing all these invisible dragons to keep you moving forward.
So we've all got them, right? I mean, I look at myself and I go, okay, I operate a charity for over a decade that's doing very well. We've got amazing international partners like International Committee of Red Cross, Coca-Cola Foundation, Philippines, and the list goes on. And here I am. I just turned 60, and because we're in lockdown in the pandemic, I can't get to our projects. So I decided, I'm going to write a book about my experience because I lost 200 pounds, right? And then in that process, I go, okay, maybe I should get my coaching certification. And I'm going, who am I? Imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
And then as I go through the process, I realize, hey, I've actually been coaching for probably 2 decades. Just didn't realize it. And even now, with what we're doing right now,
Totally.
who am I?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I've got experience. I mean, not a whole lot of people have lost 200 pounds, and I've got life experience. And so I have to get outside of myself because sometimes my reality isn't reality.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people get stuck, right?
Yeah. And for most of us, it's not. And I love where you went with this a bit too, because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your goals are. It doesn't matter what level of success you've achieved. Those who you see who have had success, all they've done is been able to manage those invisible dragons better. They all feel them. They all think the same things. They all have the same fears. The only difference is they have been able to, what I say, slay and train them and move through them instead of allowing those thoughts to hold them back. Right? Because look at this incredible summit you've put on. Had you listened to your invisible dragons of who am I to coach and not like what you've organized, had you not done that, how many lives wouldn't have been transformed simply because you allowed the self-doubt or the fear or imposter syndrome to hold you grounded?
Right.
And don't get me wrong, the thoughts feel very, very real. It's very real. And what I also love about what you've put on together is a sense of community. Because when you realize you're not the only one thinking those things and feeling those things, and it's not just you in your own world, it's like this weight gets lifted.
Yeah.
How many entrepreneurs have said to me, what is wrong with me? Nothing. Everyone thinks those thoughts. And they're like, oh my God, it's like they can breathe again. But when we're just in our own bubble, our own space, we lose perspective because we get in our head. Right. And it's like we're the only ones dealing with this problem. Again, whatever your goal is, someone out there is dealing with it or has it worse off or has thought that. Also, though, they've made it through it. And when you surround yourself with other like-minded people, you recognize, oh, it's not just me having these thoughts. It's everyone has them, no matter what goal, what level of success is happening. Yeah. Right. And it almost not gives you permission, but kind of in a way of like, oh, if you can do it, I can do it. Yeah, oh, you've had this thought and you got through it. No problem. I can do it too.
Brings up a thought, because you had mentioned earlier that these elite athletes that you worked with, they're only good at what they do because of the team around them. They have a team of people. But even in spite of having a team, support is what we'll call it.
Yeah.
Still, those that can slay the dragon rise to the top.
Totally. Yep.
I find that super intriguing because, you know, we're all about support, and that's what this summit is really about, mindset and support, because we need that support system. But we can still, it sounds like we can still have a support system, but if we don't start working on slaying the dragons in our mind, we're going to wander around still with self-doubt and all these other things, right?
Yeah.
So how do we start slaying these dragons?
Yeah, I love this. And I want to touch on something real brief. What you just said is when you have people around you, your environment can make or break you. So like, let's take this as a health and fitness summit, right? We're talking about being healthier. When you can place yourself in the environment where other people share similar values or similar goals or aspirations, you're way more likely to embody that identity and move forward in your goals versus you being by yourself. So let's take 2 scenarios real quick. One is a community where they value health, they value working out, they value learning, exploring. The other community, and neither of them are right or wrong, but as a person, you're like, how do I set myself up for success? What are my goals? Where do I want to go? Who's already doing it? So there's one that's already really involved in health, and the other community that doesn't really care about health, likes to watch Netflix, like sleep in, maybe smokes, whatever. Again, neither are right or wrong. But if you place yourself in the environment where everyone doesn't really care about the same values or going where you're going, you are eventually going to succumb to your environment. Right. And this is in business, health, it doesn't matter what it is. Right. So when you place yourself in an environment, in a community like you've created, of people are talking about this and, you know, they're working towards similar goals, the conversations around the same thing, not only does it make the invisible dragons you're dealing with way easier to move forward with, but the likelihood of you reaching your goals is so much easier and faster versus doing it alone or in a community that doesn't get it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I wanted to point that out because it's so crucial. You see people who are successful, they're not doing it alone. That Olympic athlete, yes, they still have to do the work. Yes, they still have to master their mind and their dragons, but they still have a community of support. So that way, if they get injured or if they fall down or if they're doubting themselves, they have people there to help pick them up. Because there's sometimes you can't, even me, I have my coach. There's sometimes I get in my self-doubt or in my own stuff. and you need someone else's perspective, or like, hey, okay, cool, let's go, get up, you got this.
Yeah,
It's
in
so
the coaching
integral.
world, they say if as a coach, if you don't have a coach, then you're not much of a coach.
Yeah, and it's so true. Because back to this point, Darrell, how do you Google what you don't know how to Google? Like, how do you see your own blind spots?
Yeah.
And so if we put it in a fun metaphor, if I'm walking around with broccoli in my teeth, unless someone points out that I have broccoli in my teeth, or unless I have a mirror, I'm going to walk around with broccoli in my teeth.
Yeah.
That's what a coach does. A coach helps you see a different perspective and point out blind spots you can't see.
Yeah.
And you need that outside perspective to help see things differently.
And you know what? I think this is where it's super valuable to have that support group outside of your family. And the reason why I say this, hey, I love my family.
And they love you too.
And they love me too. But here's the thing. Sometimes they cannot be brutally honest with me because of the potential backlash they will get from me.
Yeah.
So, nobody wants to walk around on eggshells. But if you've got a coach or a good support group, that it doesn't really matter, but they still want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
So they don't really have an agenda.
Yeah.
Their agenda is really, hey, I'm going to support you. If you fall, let's get up again. We can do this.
Yeah. And I love where you went with that too. Your goals, when you step into owning stuff, your friends and family love you, but you're right. They won't be brutally honest with you. Or even if they are, you're going to take it differently because you have a relationship with them.
Yes.
What also can happen though is when we're on, especially in these massive like transformations, like stepping out and building your business or taking over your health, that your goals can evoke other people's invisible dragons and other people's self-doubt and other people's worries.
Yeah.
And what they will say to you can be out of love because they want to protect you and keep you safe, but it's not going to help you when you're already kind of in this like, oh, I'm making this life change. Having other people's doubts or fears, or them seeing you do something that they secretly want to do but they're not willing to do the work, that's going to just come out and again ends up self-sabotaging. So having people in your corner who support you and help you be accountable and call you on your BS and are going to give you some tough love that's unbiased is huge. And everyone needs, whether it's a coach, a community, a mastermind, it doesn't matter what it is, something separate from your friends and family. Because everything that comes from them is through a lens of protection and love.
Yeah.
And hey, sometimes we do things that can seem really scary to other people because maybe they don't experience it, they don't know it. And it's gonna end up holding you back, which a lot of us don't actually recognize. So,
well, there's a statistic out there that says 2% succeed, 98% fail, and that's very true in the dieting world. Now, I would personally say it's not about the diet failing you at all. For me, it doesn't really matter what choice you make. You're failing yourself. I mean, let's get real, right? So many people make so many different excuses. Well, I can't do this because of this or this or this. They almost have tunnel vision in that they can't even see everything that's out there. I like your analogy of they got broccoli in their teeth, but they have no idea. Yeah. Right. And so the community or the coach is the person that can get in your corner and say, Dania, you got some, in your teeth,
I make funny faces. This is how I coach. Yeah.
Exactly. No,
I love
it. I love it.
And the thing too about, I know we can go for hours, I feel like, but something that's really important too is so let's go down the rabbit hole of invisible dragons. Most of us think it's the how-to. Most of us think it's like the next strategy. Oh, it's not this diet, it's that diet. Oh, it's not this workout plan, it's that workout plan. Or not this business strategy, it's something else. Success in anything is about consistency and staying in the game.
Right.
But most of us cut ourselves off too short before we even get a chance to see what that consistency has done. And we think, oh no, this diet didn't work, so I'm gonna switch to this one. Before it's even had time to really work through. Or like give yourself a chance for your body to adjust. Yeah. Same thing in business. Like you have to go through a couple launches for you to actually really understand, like, does this strategy work? But most of us are so hyper focused on the next shiny object syndrome, the next strategy, the next fad.
Right. Yeah.
It's like they all work. Yeah. They all work. Where we get tripped up on, and sure, we might have special things where we have diet cases and we need to learn about this stuff. But as long as we stay in the game and we're taking action and being consistent, you will have that clarity come through. But most of us are just jumping ship so fast because we think it's like, oh, this, when really you just need to stick with something.
Right.
Stick with something consistently and realize that it's mainly the mindset of how you're approaching something, whether it's going to make it be successful or not. But every how-to can work for someone because you can find evidence for someone who's had success in any domain.
Yeah.
Where we trip ourselves up is we start going into self-doubt or worry or our own stuff, and we're not consistent. And we're not, we start asking ourselves, well, I would ask people, like, what's actually preventing you from moving forward or just doing what you know you need to do?
Right.
Darrell, I'm sure you can relate to this too. We actually all know what to do for the most part.
Right.
You might need some finessing and clarity, but we all, being healthy, okay, we know we need to eat healthy foods. We know we need to move our body a little bit. It's pretty, like, the how-to is actually quite simple, and we can Google any how-to.
Yeah.
It's the what's preventing me from actually doing the how-to and sticking with it.
Yeah.
That's what gets a lot of people. And that's the mindset. That's the invisible dragons.
Yeah. So, is there a top 3 invisible dragons? Overall? I mean, everybody's different.
Yep.
But would there be a list of, let's say, 3 top ones that you find that stump a lot of people and keep them stuck?
Yeah, and even these chunk up. So, like, let's say, especially in the business space or whatever, it'd be like imposter syndrome.
Right.
But even that, we can break it down. What is imposter syndrome? You know, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of what other people are going to think of you, fear of comparison. So we can chunk them up, but they all can break down, and especially depending on who you are, how it shows up for you when you've first experienced it.
Yeah.
Self-doubt is a massive one. Absolutely. Like, can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? And that can even be chunked up into imposter syndrome a little bit. So self-doubt is a huge one. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Marissa Peer's work. She's like a world-renowned psychologist. But a lot of it comes down to our own self-worth and feeling enough.
Right.
And she has done interviews and interviews with like every person under the sun, like high-level execs, Olympic athletes, and addictions, all these things. And she can boil them down to main ones around self-worth. The sneaky thing is, though, you don't walk around being like, I'm not worthy. Like, we don't walk around saying that, but based on our behaviors and our actions, that's an indication of where do we actually really feel about ourselves.
Right.
So the invisible dragons are sneaky, but really the first step we want to get clear is having the awareness of, okay, in my day, in my life, in my workout, in my business, where am I feeling a lot of resistance? What is feeling really hard? What am I saying that like I can't do something, or I should, or I have to? When we start to get awareness of our language and what's really feeling like, you start recognizing patterns within yourself, you then can start peeling back of like, what's preventing me? What am I making this mean? And you just start asking questions. And obviously you can work with someone or in a community, or start to just gain self-awareness with books of really like, what's at the root of this behavior, or this action, or this doubt, or this fear.
Right.
And a simple question you ask yourself is like, what am I afraid is going to happen?
Yeah.
So when we went through, I renamed it to Amplifier, but so many people don't set goals, Darrell, because they're afraid of what it makes it mean about them if they don't hit that goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
this is why a lot of people don't announce when they're going to diet, because what if I fail? It's just another diet they try.
What are people going to think? What if I don't make it? It's going to feed this other deep-rooted fear belief of like, I can't do it. I'm a failure. Like, it just starts feeding these subconscious loops that we have on autopilot. But it's really the awareness of looking at what you're doing day to day and what is hard, or what am I afraid of happening if I, don't achieve this or do achieve this. And that's when you can start really uncovering like, okay, what are the subconscious patterns going on right now? Like, what are the thoughts? And I don't know where you want to take this. We can go different ways, but your subconscious mind is what runs 95% of what you do and don't do.
Right.
Everything is run and done from the subconscious mind. And to give you some context, like, do you have to think about your heart beating right now?
No.
Do you have to think about how to drive a car anymore?
No.
If you drive a car, right? Do you have to think about how to move your hand and your fingers, or does it just happen, right?
Exactly.
So the subconscious mind plays a really massive role, and it's super important. However, most of what happens from the subconscious mind was programmed from a younger age or through lived experience.
Right.
And it's it's through our subconscious mind that literally runs and is responsible for everything you think or everything you do. But most of us are just trying to use our conscious mind, which is our 5% mind, to try and like willpower our way through these goals, when really we've got these deep-rooted beliefs, values, identities that are running the show on autopilot.
Yeah.
And until we uncover those, you're always going to default back to those patterns and those thoughts and those beliefs. And this is what the work I do is so much fun. It's like, sure, the fear of judgment might be there, but what's the actual root cause and what's actually underneath that that's driving this automatic program that is now running the show?
Yeah. Oh man, this is so good. You know, we're at the end of our session already.
I know.
I can't believe it. Yeah, you've got so much to unpack, and I wish we had a lot more time. But I know we'll talk a little bit more another time. So thank you for being part of this. And someone at the summit here is going to get a free gift from you. And what does that look like? What is that?
What are we talking about? The amplify your goals or the perfect day, the opt-in? I forget. We're doing both. We're doing both. So there is I created a freebie. It's a really simple, powerful visualization.
Okay.
It's called Your Perfect Day. Don't write it off before you hear that. You'll be surprised at the clarity and the awareness you get from when you start asking yourself questions. And this is the fun thing. Your subconscious mind has to answer questions. So when you give yourself the space to ask yourself questions, your brain has to start finding answers for you.
Right.
So this is a very simple 10-minute visualization, which is going to give you clarity of, are you actually creating your life with intention? Are you doing what you want to do? Or is there things that are going to come up for you that you're like, oh, I didn't think about? Or are you kind of on autopilot, just kind of going through the motions?
Right.
And Darrell, most of us are just going through the motions, and then we're
totally
unhappy. You're like, but I want change. Well, unless we start uncovering, get awareness of what we want and what that actually means to us, you're always just going to be on autopilot. So it's a simple, very powerful 10-minute visualization you can do anytime, and we'll give you a ton of clarity of like, what do you want? What does come up for you? What's going to surprise you? So that's the freebie opt-in that we've talked about.
Okay, so that's the freebie that everyone that attends the summit can get. Okay. But one person is going to get access to
the Amplify Your Goals. Yeah. So the thing that you experienced that we've redone and we put into now mini course. Yeah. I'm happy to give that to someone. And that's really going to help teach you a little bit about your brain, how it works, why things happen, really help you get clarity on maybe why you haven't hit goals in the past, and how to really set yourself up for success moving forward. I've really had to set goals in any domain. But that's something that's, again, a lot of people don't know how to set goals. We just
when it's life changing. I mean, when I attended that webinar that you did last December, and then of course you gave me access to that, I'm like, wow, I've got to connect with Danya, because you've got so much content there that's really going to change people's lives. So, you know, folks, you're going to want to sign up for that. Well, actually, you can't sign up for that. You could take that. Probably she offers that to people who want to. But, hey, somebody is going to get that for free, which is absolutely amazing. And you're going to get that free resources as well. So, listen, Danya, it's been a pleasure having you on. Let's stay connected, absolutely, because moving forward, I'm going to be doing video podcasting where we can spend a lot more time on, you know, really getting into the weeds about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you once again. And thank you, everyone, for spending your time with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, everyone. That was absolutely amazing. Have you thought about what your dragons are? Through that session, I easily found out what some of my dragons were. Self-doubt. She's absolutely right. I think self-doubt has to be one of the biggest dragons that we all deal with. And I like how she broke that down. You know, we talked about imposter syndrome, which basically, I feel that a lot. I'm sure a lot of you do as well. But she talks about how we can break that down into other things. So it's like dragons with babies. I don't know. Anyways, awesome resource. So I just ran the picker, and we have a winner for Danya's course, and it is Stephanie Roselli. And she is the winner of Danya's Amplifier Goals course. Now, I took that course back in December. It's amazing. And it wasn't called that then. She renamed it. And I like her new name, Amplify Your Goals course. Anyways, Stephanie, we will reach out to you and I'll connect you through email to Danya so that you can work with her in how you can access that course. Hey, this was the last speaker of the day. I know you enjoyed her as much as I did. Danya has a bonus session that is available to all Access Pass VIP members, and it's called Do Dragons Hide in Your Comfort Zone? Interesting. Sometimes we just like our comfort zone because the dragons don't show up. But we got to get out of our comfort zone, especially if we want to see true transformation in our lives, however that looks, whether it's weight loss, you know, we need to get a different job or vocation or whatever it is in life. Transformation means a lot of things to a lot of people. And so slaying and training our dragons is definitely important. Very, very good. Listen, one of the things I want to offer to everyone is, you know, people have asked, why am I doing this summit? Well, number one, I care about you and all of our speakers care about you. And we all have different gifts and we can bring value to people in different levels. And I'm a coach. And so I want to know, how can I help you? And hey, and if I can't help you, maybe there's someone else who can, because we need somebody in our corner. And a coach will certainly help us with that. I mean, like Danya said, you know, you got some broccoli in your teeth. Now, most family will let you know, hey, you know, there's broccoli in your teeth. But for all those things in our lives that, you know, family don't really want to get into our space because they're afraid of the backlash we might give them. And hey, let's be honest, it happens. We need a coach. We need somebody that can just say, hey, listen, why do you feel that way? You know, maybe a coach will help you identify the dragons you don't know you have, right? Anyway, so if you're interested, I'd like you to book a call with me, and I will drop the link in here. Book a call. Here we go. Very simple. I'm just showing it on the screen at the bottom there, but you can just go into the chat and you can click on that and select a date in the calendar, and we'll just hang out for about 15 minutes or so, and maybe a little longer. I want to get to know you a little bit and find out, hey, is there a way that we can work together? Is there a way that I can help you as a coach? Anyways, no obligation. It's not going to cost anything. And so I know that you probably enjoyed this day as much as I did. If you missed any sessions, please get the All Access Pass. You will have lifetime access to all the sessions and the bonus materials. And coming up tomorrow, we're going to have a question and answer period with myself and some of the speakers that are going to log in through Zoom. So you want to access that as well. Anyways, listen, thank you so much for being with us and have a wonderful rest of your day.